Chapter 1559, New Emperor. At that moment, a gigantic demon ape was practicing cultivation on the island with them. He was practicing a punching technique, which caused everything around him to quake incessantly and the mountains to explode. "Little demon ape," shouted someone at that moment. The great earth demon ape raised his head and looked at the person. It was a woman in red clothes. "Sister Hu Yu," shouted the great earth demon ape. "Little demon ape, fight against Lin Feng, but don't kill him," said Hu Yu giggling. The great earth demon ape turned around and saw a human flying towards him. "Just don't kill him." After Lin Feng heard that, he shivered. How gentle. Lin Feng was used to the way she acted by now. The great earth demon ape looked at Lin Feng mockingly, smirking from the corner of his mouth. The girl had always annoyed him with menial tasks, but finally he was excited, he could do something he liked. However, the great earth demon ape was worried that Lin Feng was too weak. The great earth demon ape released earth cosmic energy towards Lin Feng. Bzzz. Lin Feng moved like the wind and disappeared from where he was a moment before. The great earth demon ape was surprised from his sudden speed. Now Lin Feng was getting closer, which caused the great earth demon ape to smile more. "Where are you going?" asked the ape, trying to catch Lin Feng. A force multiplied by 1,000 enveloped Lin Feng. The ape wanted to see how Lin Feng intended to dodge that. A light appeared, and several clones of Lin Feng appeared while moving with incredible speed. With that, he finally made it to the great earth demon ape and punched the air in his direction. The sky trembled as the punch crashed onto the great earth demon ape, who was again surprised. He lowered his head, surprised that he felt that punch. What a terrifying physical body, thought Lin Feng. His punches had done absolutely nothing to the great earth demon ape. Lin Feng understood what kind of beast he was, though. He controlled both earth and demonic energies, so his defense was bound to be astonishing. The first time that Lin Feng met the great earth demon ape, she made them fight. How cruel. Just like Lin Feng had thought, after training there for some time, she took him away and brought him to a floating island. But Lin Feng felt weak, he sensed a counterforce which could make him fly away. Finally, when he couldn't endure it anymore, he left the floating island and went back to Yaoyi Island. He continued practicing cultivation there. Hu Yu often took him to some other places to help him practice. Even though each time was difficult, Lin Feng was becoming stronger. Each time Hu Yu appeared, she asked Lin Feng whether he'd fallen in love with her or not, and each time Lin Feng shivered. He wanted to live on, so he didn't say anything which would upset her. Time seemed to pass by fast on Yaoyi Island. A year and 7 months had already passed since Emperor Xinyu had taken him there, but Lin Feng had the impression that only a month had passed. During this time, not only were his energies and force improving, but his physical body was improving as well. He could even take a slap from the great earth demon ape back in Qingdi Mountain. Things were also moving along. Qingdi Mountain was a gigantic mountain inside Qingdi City and acted as a holy cultivation ground. At that moment, a few silhouettes were standing at the top of a mountain, looking down at everyone from above. "More than a year and a half have passed," whispered someone. If Lin Feng had been there, he would have recognized Qi Yuchen, who now looked even stronger than before. "Lin Feng," he said, clenching his fists while condensing terrifying energies. He could picture killing Lin Feng. His force was already multiplied by 1,000 now. After kill Lin Feng, he'd practice cultivation even harder and would quickly become an emperor. "So, you still want to kill him so bad," said someone at that moment. Qi Yuchen turned around and saw Zhou Tianruo. "Of course," said Qi Yuchen in an ice-cold way. "I'll kill Lin Feng myself," said Zhou Tianruo as he released dazzling golden holy qi. He hated Lin Feng as well. "We'll see who gets to kill him first," said Qi Yuchen. Emperor Ni Chen had recruited 20 people only because of the agreement between him and Emperor Xinyu. Emperor Ni Chen had then appointed emperors to teach them personally. During the time since, they had all become terrifying. Qi Yuchen, Zhou Tianruo, and so on were all extremely confident in their abilities, and they were cultivator of the very top of the Zun Qi layer. Only one more step and they'd become emperors. Of course, I don't think that Lin Feng has been wasting any time either, said Zhou Tianruo indifferently. He knew how talented Lin Feng was. With the strength of the 7th Zun Qi layer, he was already terrifying. Maybe that Lin Feng had already reached the 9th Zun Qi layer now. Boom! Suddenly, a terrifying strength fell from the sky. Everybody on Qingdi Mountain, including Zhou Tianruo, turned around and saw a beam of cosmic energy pierce the sky. Someone has broken through to the Huang Qi layer. Many of the young men from Qingdi Mountain recognized what that light meant. Cosmic strength, when Ao Feng must have broken through to the Huang Qi layer, thought Zhou Tianruo and Qi Yuchen. Chapter 1560, The Everlasting Celestial Emperor's News. There was a pitch-black area on Yaoyi Island which never changed. At that moment, a silhouette had arrived in that pitch-black area and asked, "What's going on?" It was impossible to know who had talked, it was too dark. "There is news from the Everlasting Celestial Emperor," said a silhouette. "What news?" asked a voice. The silhouette then proceeded to tell him about the fall of the Everlasting Celestial Emperor. "How did the other groups react?" asked the voice of darkness indifferently. "When the Everlasting Celestial Emperor fell, his palace disappeared and finally, it has reappeared. The Celestial Qingling Palace has already sent their disciples. The Palace of the Gods won't waste any time either. Qingdi Mountain won't miss their chance, but they didn't send any imperial forces, they only sent disciples who hadn't broken through to the Huang Qi layer first to inspect the area. Tell Xinyu to deal with that and inform me of the progress," said the voice in the darkness. "I will, Your Highness." "The beast of the night," said that person nodding. Then, he left. Yaoyi Island wasn't far from Qingdi Mountain's territory. Apart from Qingdi Mountain and Yaoyi Island, there were two other great imperial forces, of whom possessed many emperors. They were called the Palace of the Gods and the Celestial Qingling Palace. Apart from the four great emperors, many strong cultivators would continuously fight between them, some rose, some fell. The great world was ever-changing as few of them were immortal. After the news spread, many people went insane and started looking for the Everlasting Celestial Emperor's palace. He used to be an incredible fighter who had amazed the world. When the Everlasting Celestial Emperor was still a cultivation emperor, he had killed 56 emperors in the same battle. 80 of them were the same level as him. After the fall of the Everlasting Celestial Emperor, there were also many who mourned for him. After having received news from the Everlasting Celestial Emperor, Qingdi Mountain reacted immediately, but the other forces also learnt about it just as quickly. At that moment, Lin Feng was still in a dream. Even though the animals of Yaoyi Island were nice to him, Meng Qing was also an animal and her status was incredible. After he had met her mother, he knew he had to keep Meng Qing inside the Jade Emperor's palace. But there, they could still dream together. "Lin Feng," said Emperor Xinyu. He had also practiced cultivation diligently for over a year now. The woman had taken care of Lin Feng had told Emperor Xinyu about his progress, so he knew that Lin Feng hadn't wasted any time. Lin Feng woke up and opened his eyes. He saw Emperor Xinyu and smiled, "Master." "Lin Feng, I came to tell you something." "You must go back to the 9 great celestial castles," said Emperor Xinyu. Lin Feng was nodded, "What for?" "There is news from the Everlasting Celestial Emperor." "Go there and try to find some clues," said Emperor Xinyu. "Of course, this time, you're not going as an individual, you will represent Yaoyi Island. Take this Yaoyi amulet so that nobody thinks of harming you." Emperor Xinyu threw the Yaoyi amulet at Lin Feng. Lin Feng looked at it and saw the word, Yaoyi, written on it. "All right," said Lin Feng. After preparing for a short time, he left again. He wouldn't have thought that the first time he'd leave Yaoyi Island, that he would be going back to the 9 great celestial castles. Besides, what a coincidence, it had something to do with the everlasting celestial emperor. Lin Feng remembered his bronze plate and how it had activated inside his demonic territory. Did it really come from the everlasting celestial emperor's palace? I'll take you to the periphery of the Qingdi mountain, otherwise, it'll take you too long to get there, said Emperor Xinyu. His silhouette flickered as he grabbed Lin Feng and then they were off. Lin Feng arrived in the Qingdi mountain, and Emperor Xinyu left as soon as he dropped him off. Now, Lin Feng was alone on his sword flying. There were many gigantic cities in the Qingdi mountain. However, none of them were as powerful as the 9 great celestial castle cities. Even if there were some who were close, they couldn't have as much power because of their geographical location. I can see the great celestial palace of thoughtfulness, thought Lin Feng as he gazed into the distance. Emperor Xinyu had given Lin Feng a map, therefore, Lin Feng could recognize the surroundings. However, Lin Feng's target destination was inside the buffer zone. I see Buzhou Mountain. Lin Feng could see a mountain which reached into the sky. It was Buzhou Mountain, the great celestial palace of thoughtfulness main peak. Lin Feng continued moving forwards, ignoring the mountain. There were 2 silhouettes at the top of Buzhou Mountain. One of them was wearing a purple and golden dragon robe, he looked like deity. He had broken through to the 9th Zun Qi layer. The other one was an extraordinary-looking young man who was wearing a Taoist robe. He looked like an ordinary young man, but the one with the dragon robe was looking at him in a respectful way. Yaoyi Island is way too slow, said the one who wore the purple golden robe. Don't worry. They've still managed to make it in time, said the one in the Taoist robe indifferently. I just wanted to see who they sent, said the one who was wearing the purple golden robe. Maybe he ignored us. Let's go, said the one in the Taoist robe. But his interlocutor shook his head, animals aren't like beasts, you don't understand their temperament. If he sees us, he'll probably come and kill us. The one in the purple golden robe then rose up in the air. He wanted to see what beast Yaoyi Island had sent after waiting for so long. Those people are from Celestial Qingling Palace and the Palace of the Gods, thought Lin Feng. Emperor Xinyu had told him about them. Lin Feng hadn't thought they'd wait for him on Buzhou Mountain though. Of course, they didn't know that this time, Yaoyi Island hadn't sent a beast but a human being. Chapter 1561. Back in a familiar place there were a great many people who had gathered at the bleachers, talking about something. Since the news of the everlasting celestial emperor emerged here, the influential groups from all the 9 great celestial castles must inform everybody about what they know. I've heard that some everlasting bronze plates have appeared, so if anyone has some, they must share, said a strong cultivator who was standing in the bleachers. I agree. The 9 great celestial castles must explain everything clearly. They can't benefit from all this on their own, said someone else. My group, Celestial Qi Castle, also wants to say something. Indeed, if anybody hears about the bronze plates, please share what you know with everybody else because we don't know what they are, and we've never heard of them before, said Qi Yunxiao. Celestial Qi Castle had already lost control over the small world, but after they had told everybody that they lived in a fake world, most people left the small world already. Besides, with the tensions between the Celestial Wen Castle and Celestial Qi Castle, staying in the small world was a bit troublesome. The Celestial Wen Castle thinks the same, said Wen Ao Feng. They had hurried to come back after hearing the gossip. This time, Wen Ao Feng's social status was a bit different because he could also represent the Qingdi mountain. Humph. Just wait for the others. I saw them on Buzhou Mountain waiting for Yaoyi Island's people. They should arrive soon, said a strong cultivator in a cold way. He didn't dare contradict Qingdi Mountain. They had to wait for Celestial Qingling Palace and the Palace of the Gods people. They were not in a rush anyways. They didn't have to wait too long. The young men in the purple golden robe and the Taoist robe arrived in the sky. They had been waiting in the great celestial palace of thoughtfulness, knowing that strong cultivators had gathered there already. Disciples from celestial Qinling Palace and the Palace of the Gods, said someone. One of the young men had an extraordinary qi and the other one was wearing a Taoist robe. Qin Jing from the celestial Qinling Palace, said the young man in the purple golden robe indifferently. Even though he hadn't broken through to the Huang Qi layer yet, he had an incredible qi radiating from him. Xian Chen from the Palace of the Gods, said the young man in the Taoist robe. Please have a seat, said a strong cultivator of the celestial Wen castle very politely. Qin Zheng and Xian Chen represented the celestial Qinling Palace and the Palace of the Gods, so people had to respect them. Qin Zheng and Xian Chen sat down before someone asked, "Haven't you seen the representative from Yaoyi Island yet?" "We waited for a few days, but saw nobody, so we came." "Did we miss anything?" asked Qin Zheng. Everybody wanted to hear the news from the everlasting celestial emperor's palace. "Humph. If they didn't learn anything, then we can't do much either," said someone in a cold way. Qin Zheng and Xian Chen's eyes twinkled. The 9 great celestial castles probably had some clues. "Wait for the representative of Yaoyi Island and then we'll see," said Qin Zheng indifferently. Nobody minded. After that, everyone started chatting about random topics. Qiyu Chen was there, and he was a lot stronger than before. On the side of the great celestial palace of thoughtfulness, Zhou Tianruo was staring at Qin Zheng and Xian Chen, who were both cultivators at the very top of the Zun Qi layer. He was wondering how strong they really were now. On the side of the palace of medicinal king, there was Yi Sheng, Gu Li, and Xia Tianfan. They had all come back. Of course, the young people from celestial Wen castle were the majority. Apart from Wen Ao Feng, there were 2 more people. If Lin Feng had been there, he would have recognized 2 of them, Wen Tian Gu and Wen Ao Shui. They had gone to the celestial Wen castle after they parted ways in the desert. In the distance, a sword whistled, causing everybody to turn around. There was a silhouette riding that sword, Lin Feng. When Qiyu Chen heard that name, he suddenly opened his eyes, and dazzling lights flashed in his eyes. He immediately released empty space energies at Lin Feng. Zhou Tianruo released golden holy qi as well. Qi Yunsheng looked at Lin Feng and frowned. Emperor Xinyu had taken Lin Feng away back then and had agreed with Emperor Ni Chen to organize some battles in the future, but Emperor Ni Chen hadn't told them what Emperor Xinyu's social status was. But now Lin Feng had surprisingly come back. The old man from the Palace of Medicinal King suddenly stood up and glared at Lin Feng with murder in his eyes. That cultivator of the Zun Qi layer had dared demand that he return Emperor Yu's item. He had also said he'd go to their Palace of Medicinal King someday and make them regret. He was extremely arrogant and surprisingly, he had dared come back. Lin Feng put away his sword and glanced at the crowd standing in the sky. He could sense that many people were looking at him in a cold way at that moment. "Long time no see, everybody," said Lin Feng indifferently and calmly. The old man shook his hand and vines appeared in the sky, which quickly surrounded Lin Feng. "You dared to come back. Old dude, you better be respectful," said Lin Feng to the old man. "Didn't Emperor Xinyu come with you?" asked the old man, trying to understand what was going on. He was afraid of Emperor Xinyu and Lin Feng looked quite indifferent at that moment, as if he hadn't feared him. "Why would we have come together?" said Lin Feng. The old man still didn't understand. He didn't think about Yaoyi Island because Yaoyi Island's population was composed of beasts and Lin Feng was a human being. "Well then, I will cripple your cultivation," said the old man indifferently. Everybody observed calmly. They wanted to see why Lin Feng looked so indifferent in the face of such overwhelming hate. "You old retard, try if you dare," said Lin Feng, taking out the Yaoyi amulet and showing it to the old man. "Yaoyi amulet," the old man incredulously. "You're the one from Yaoyi Island?" asked Qin Jing to Lin Feng. "Yaoyi Island, Lin Feng," said Lin Feng indifferently. "Was Emperor Xinyu from Yaoyi Island?" No wonder Emperor Ni Chen was so polite to Emperor Shenyu. They were both great imperial forces. Now that Lin Feng represented Yaoyi Island, they couldn't attack him. He had the same social status as Qingdi Mountain. Besides, Yaoyi Island's cultivators were all powerful beasts, each of whom were more aggressive and brutal than human beings. Even Qingdi Mountain didn't dare offend Yaoyi Island. "You old retard, you're still not removing yourself," said Lin Feng. Then the old man immediately recalled his vines. "You old retard, next time, don't blame me for not having warned you. Be polite. Otherwise, Yaoyi Island will dispatch their strongest cultivators to deal with you," threatened Lin Feng. The old man was furious that Lin Feng kept calling him an old retard, but he couldn't do anything. Now he couldn't stop thinking about when Lin Feng had told him that he'd make the palace of Medicinal King pay someday. He had always felt uncomfortable when thinking about that, and now it seemed more and more possible. Chapter 1562, Each person has their own malicious intentions. "Do you regret?" asked Lin Feng. Nobody knew if he was talking to the palace of Medicinal King or to Celestial Qi Castle. For the old man, it meant, "Do you regret having humiliated my teacher back then? If you had helped him once, what would have happened?" For Celestial Qi Castle, it meant, "Do you regret having controlled me?" Of course, for Emperor Dong and Emperor Qi, it meant something different, for the hatred between them was too deep. Then for Zhou Tian Shao and Zhou Tian Roa, it meant something else. And there was still the Celestial Si Kong Castle. Lin Feng laughed deeply. He would get his revenge someday. But he had to rely on Yaoyi Island for now. "He will definitely die," thought the old man from the palace of Medicinal Kings. Of course, they couldn't kill him in the open. Lin Feng had the Yaoyi amulet. If the palace of Medicinal King killed Lin Feng directly, Yaoyi Island would kill them. "I wouldn't have thought that Yaoyi Island would send a human being this time," said Qin Jing, smiling. Besides this shocking news, it seemed like there were tensions between that human being and the 9 great celestial castles. "Lin Feng!" shouted someone at that moment. Lin Feng turned around and saw Zhou Tian Roa releasing golden holy qi. He had become a cultivator at the very top of the Zun Qi layer, and he still wanted to kill Lin Feng. "What's up?" asked Lin Feng. He had humiliated him 3 times already. Did he want to be humiliated a 4th time? Lin Feng's target wasn't even Zhou Tian Roa anymore, it was Zhou Tian Shao. "Let's fight," said Zhou Tian Roa. Lin Feng looked at him in a disdainful way and said calmly, "The loser will die, and the great celestial palace of thoughtfulness can't prevent me from killing you. If you dare, come here. The loser will die." Zhou Tian Roa's heart was pounding. That kind of bet was too dangerous, and Zhou Tian Roa didn't want to gamble at all right now. He felt humiliated because he didn't dare to fight. He clenched his fists. Lin Feng had destroyed his determination once again. "You've always been a crappy cultivator in my eyes, so don't try and fight against me anymore. You're just way too weak," said Lin Feng, now sounding like a demon. Lin Feng's demonic voice was trying to influence Zhou Tian Roa's determination. "You've always been a crappy cultivator in my eyes, you're just way too weak." Those words resonated in Zhou Tian Roa's brain. He would never forget that. He was shaking with anger. "Zhou Tian Roa!" shouted Zhou Tian Shao extremely loudly. He then said, "Don't let anyone influence your determination." Zhou Tian Roa's brain felt like it was going to explode. 2 voices resonated in his brain. He gradually calmed down. He looked at Lin Feng in a cold way, but he knew that he couldn't do much. Lin Feng's powers could even influence his determination. Lin Feng smiled at Zhou Tian Roa mockingly. "You're so weak," said Lin Feng in a low voice. His voice didn't contain any demon-cursing strength this time, but it still hurt. "Phew," Zhou Tian Roa closed his eyes and took a deep breath. He tried to cheer himself up by telling himself that he couldn't let Lin Feng influence him no matter what. Lin Feng had just broken through to the 8th Zun Qi layer. Even though he was terrifyingly strong, he would also become an emperor soon. Lin Feng, come and have a seat, said a strong cultivator on the side of Celestial Wen Castle. Lin Feng nodded. He didn't look at Zhou Tianruo again. Lin Feng, long time no see, said Wen Ao Shui and Wen Tiangu smiling. What a surprise, they had met again, and Lin Feng was a member of Yaoyi Island. Long time no see, said Lin Feng smiling. Even though his friends had now gone to the Celestial Wen Castle, Lin Feng didn't need to feel uncomfortable. But the relation between Lin Feng and the Celestial Wen Castle was under some strain because when Ao Feng was Emperor Ni Chen's disciple. Emperor Ni Chen and Emperor Xin Yu had agreed that they'd have a competition at some point, so maybe Lin Feng and Wen Ao Feng would have to fight then. Wen Ao Feng nodded at Lin Feng. He looked calm, so Lin Feng also greeted him. Since the representative of Yaoyi Island arrived, we can get back to our topic, which is the everlasting Celestial Emperor's castle. Many of you say they know nothing, but that's obviously a lie, said a strong cultivator at that moment. If nobody said anything, how would they find any clues? If we don't know anything, what could we tell you? The Qingdi Mountain and the others are here already, so if they ask us, Celestial Qi Castle, they'll also tell you that we know nothing, said Qi Yunxing aggressively. What do you think? Asked that strong cultivator to Lin Feng and the others. Since they don't know anything, what can we do? Said Wen Ao Feng smiling indifferently. The crowd was furious. Wen Ao Feng was from Qingdi Mountain and from Celestial Wen Castle, so he only thought of his personal interests. The crowd looked at Qin Zheng, his eyes were twinkling as he asked Lin Feng, you're the last one to arrive. Do you have any ideas? People could disperse and search for clues under the territory of the 9 great celestial castles, and if anybody finds something, they can yell it, said Lin Feng. I agree with Lin Feng. Everybody can choose a palace and search. Does everybody else agree? Asked Qin Zheng smiling. Lin Feng's idea wasn't bad. Clues about the everlasting Celestial Emperor's palace were bound to be found inside the buffer zone. Qi Yunsheng, what do you think? Asked someone. You're welcome to Celestial Qi Castle, said Qi Yunsheng indifferently. The other castles weren't happy about allowing others in, but they couldn't refuse. Do you want to rest in our castles for a few days? Asked Wen Ao Feng to Lin Feng, Qin Zheng, and Xian Chen. Qin Zheng and Xian Chen nodded, but Lin Feng said, I like Celestial Qi Castle, and I'm sure that Celestial Qi Castle will protect me because they're strong. Bastard, thought some people from Celestial Qi Castle. Not only couldn't they kill Lin Feng, but they also had to protect him. Chapter 1563, A Trap. The members from Celestial Qi Castle and the Palace of Medicinal King hated Lin Feng, they even wanted to plot against him to kill him, but in just one sentence, Lin Feng had destroyed all their plans. There were countless islands filled with terrifying beasts, and they listened to the Yaoyi amulet. If it rang, a terrifying army of beasts would intervene. Even if the 9 great celestial castles joined hands, Yaoyi Island was still stronger than them. Even Qingdi Mountain didn't dare offend them. But the Palace of Medicinal King thought differently. When they heard that Lin Feng wanted to stay there, the white-bearded old man's eyes twinkled. If they managed to kill Lin Feng while he stayed inside Celestial Qi Castle's territory, then they couldn't be blamed. Of course, it was easier said than done. Qi Yunxing noticed that the Palace of Medicinal King was looking at them, so he looked at them in a cold way too. Do as you wish, you can go anywhere you want. Lin Feng stood up and smiled. Then he appeared in front of the people from Celestial Qi Castle. He glanced at the people he knew, especially Emperor Dong and Emperor Qi who had come back. Please, said Qi Yunxing smiling at Lin Feng. Dear friends, I trust that you have been doing well since we last met, said Lin Feng to the 2 emperors. Apart from Lin Feng, many other people chose to go to Celestial Qi Castle and followed. Lin Feng was back in Celestial Qi Castle. This time, with another social status. Last time, he was controlled, but this time he was from an imperial force and he didn't need to hide. When they arrived in Celestial Qi Castle, Jin Chen-jun oversaw protecting Lin Feng. He brought Lin Feng to a courtyard and said, "Lin Feng, you stay here, and if anything happens, call me. I'll be outside guarding." "Thank you, Jin Chen-jun," said Lin Feng smiling. They were both very hypocritical at that moment as if they were friends. Jin Chen-jun couldn't wait to kick Lin Feng out of Celestial Qi Castle's territory. It was too difficult to protect Lin Feng and be polite to him. Lin Feng didn't offend him though. After entering the courtyard, he started sleeping and practicing cultivation in his dream. Apart from having understood force and abstruse energies, Lin Feng had broken through to the 8th Zun Qi layer. But cultivation level wasn't the most important thing, abstruse energies and force were. He had to improve his abstruse energies to the fullest and then it would be a good idea to break through to the 9th Zun Qi layer. Finally, he'd understand cosmic energies and have them fuse together with his body. Learning how to control cosmic energies and making them fuse together with one's body was a very complex process. It was different from understanding cosmic energies. Understanding cosmic energies didn't mean a cultivator was going to break through to the Huang Qi layer. Therefore, force was much more important than cosmic energies because if a cultivator's force wasn't multiplied by 1000, they couldn't make their cosmic energies fuse together with their body, and then they couldn't break through to the Huang Qi layer. As long as the two requirements were met, and the proper cultivation level was reached, a cultivator could break through to the Huang Qi layer. Of course, it was rare to have a force multiplied by 1000. Most people first broke through to the 9th Zun Qi layer and then fulfilled the two requirements. However, Lin Feng was an exception. Cultivators at the very top of the Zun Qi layer already feared him, a cultivator of the 8th Zun Qi layer. Even Zhou Tianruo didn't dare fight against him. It became dark outside, but Celestial Qi Castle was quite agitated because of their guests they were guarding. Sometime that night, a certain place inside Celestial Qi Castle suddenly twinkled, and dazzling lights appeared. The sky was condensing there as it turned into a celestial palace. It looked like a castle from the sky. A gigantic word also appeared on the palace, everlasting. People from Celestial Qi Castle were astonished, the everlasting Emperor's palace. Boom! Boom boom boom, a terrifying Qi invaded the sky above Celestial Qi Castle's territory. Some houses broke apart as several people threw themselves at the castle. "What's going on?" thought Qi Yunsheng, rising in the air. People burst into an uproar, and the atmosphere was chaotic. Qi Yunsheng didn't understand what was going on. Why had the everlasting Emperor's palace appeared there? Who had broken the restricted strength on the bronze plate while on top of Celestial Qi Castle's territory? Jin Chen-jun observed the palace and watched as people were rushing over. He frowned. What was going on? Why was everybody rushing over to Celestial Qi Castle? Why had the palace appeared there? It was as if it had been planned. The situation is out of control, thought Jin Chen-jun. People were already fighting everywhere. Buildings were collapsing, one after the other. Oh no! Jin Chen-jun suddenly turned around and rose up in the air. The golden lights were going to seal those buildings. However, at the same time, terrifying cosmic energies invaded the sky. It was as if a gigantic hand was grabbing at the sky. Kaboom! The golden lights broke apart as a dark shadow appeared and landed next to Jin Chen-jun. In the distance, there was a great battle. So many of the guards were already there, but nobody knew about the battle which had started on Jin Chen-jun's side. A gigantic hand descended and moved towards Jin Chen-jun. Even though it couldn't kill Jin Chen-jun, it was enough to make him fly away. "Someone wants to kill Lin Feng," shouted Jin Chen-jun. He turned into a golden light as flew ahead but was assaulted by the gigantic hand again. This time his golden armor broke apart as he was sent flying. "Someone wants to kill Lin Feng." Qi Yunsheng and Qi Yunxiao heard Jin Chenjun, but they were rather far away. Chapter 1564, Great Emperor's Palace Map. He's become so strong already, thought Emperor Qi. He possessed force which was multiplied by 1,000, which meant that when Emperor Qi attacked him with his own force, it had no effect. Emperor Qi looked at Lin Feng's disdainful expression and groaned coldly. On the inside though, he was shivering. He lowered his head, looking at his bleeding hand. Lin Feng could already injure emperors. Lin Feng was far from being able to defeat an emperor when they used their full strength, but then again, had Lin Feng used his full strength before? Emperor Qi didn't know how strong Lin Feng was any longer. Those who surrounded them didn't know it either, but they had watched as Lin Feng had injured an emperor. Emperor Qi was a weak emperor, but no matter, he was an emperor and controlled cosmic energies. No wonder he dares to act that aggressively and arrogantly. He's right, Zhou Tianruo can't compete with him at all, thought the crowd. Lin Feng moved away from Emperor Qi and looked at the battles around him. People continued fighting all around. Lin Feng quickly found out that there wasn't only 2 bronze plates, as another palace had appeared. The 3 palaces were connected before they turned into a castle. There was a golden map forming below that castle. Many people stopped fighting as the map appeared. When the castles condensed into one, they already knew what was going on. The map of the everlasting great emperor's palace, they thought. That map might tell them where the great empire was, so everybody was fixedly staring at it with greed. Even the fighting with Celestial Qi Castle had stopped. That's a surprise, thought Lin Feng. Those who had the bronze plates hadn't thought they'd connect and create a palace. The third one had taken out his bronze plate only because he had seen that the first 2 were connected. Besides, the map wasn't complete. A part of the map was missing, indicating that 2 bronze plates were still missing. Everybody, who has the 4th and 5th bronze plates? Please take them out, said someone. Without the other ones, it was impossible to know where to go. I wouldn't have thought that the bronze plate really had something to do with the palace, thought Lin Feng. The old man probably didn't know that either, otherwise he wouldn't have sold it that easily. Lin Feng was wondering whether he should take it out or not. I have the 4th one, said someone at that moment. It was Qi Yunxiao. Since you have the 4th one, take it out, said someone. Indeed, maybe then the whole thing will appear. Qi Yunxiao looked at them in a cold way and said indifferently, people attack Celestial Qi Castle, my fellow members, and myself. Besides, some people plotted against Lin Feng. If I take out the 4th bronze plate, how can I be sure that nothing will happen to us? What do you want? Asked someone. Everybody moved back 10,000 meters. Only members from Celestial Qi Castle can stay here. If someone moves when I take it out, I'll take it back, said Qi Yunxiao. Qi Yunxiao, you just want to take the map for yourself. What if you take the plate back after having seen and memorized the map, said some people. They were not satisfied because they weren't convinced that they could see the map from that far away. Since you don't trust me, there is a second option. The other owners of the bronze plates can take them back and we can agree on a place to meet. That way, nobody will cause any more trouble for Celestial Qi Castle, said Qi Yunxiao, gazing over the crowd. No. If Celestial Qi Castle doesn't take out the bronze plate, then, said some people around him. Nobody was ready to give up. Bzzz. However, at that moment, a strong wind started blowing as someone pulled away their bronze plate. How dare you, said the crowd. They all followed the bronze plate. They instantly forgot about the map as they chased that person. Qi Yunxiao smiled coldly. That person had understood what he meant. The owners could take their bronze plates back and they could agree on another date to look at the map. What it meant was, the owners and him alone without everyone else. Not many people had reacted when he had said that though. At that moment, some Qi suddenly emerged around Lin Feng, making turned around to see some silhouettes surrounding him. Lin Feng looked at those people. Those people who had been trying to attack him in the dark were all there now. Those people were all from the 9 great celestial castles. "Everybody stop, you can take the bronze plates," said an emperor from the celestial Wen castle. Everybody stopped when he said that. There were already many corpses lying on the ground around him, so they knew they couldn't compete with him. "Take out the bronze plate again and show the map to everyone," said a strong cultivator from the great celestial palace of thoughtfulness. 2 bronze plates had already been returned, so now all they needed was 1 more. 3 bronze plates connected again. Then those people looked at Qi Yun Shao and said, "Brother Qi, take out your bronze plate." "Since everybody is here, why not?" said Qi Yun Shao smiling. He walked forwards and threw his bronze plate. The 4th light appeared, and the 4 bronze plates connected. Although the map appeared again, it still wasn't complete. The crowd looked at the map. The part which was missing in the center seemed to be an important part. "Impossible!" Suddenly, the white-bearded emperor's face turned pale. "How?" Chapter 1564, Watch Your Words. Qi Yunsheng and Qi Yun Shao started running like mad men. He also used empty space cosmic energy to move even faster. But with that time, even if they were fast, a medium-level emperor could easily kill a Zoom cultivator. At that moment, many buildings were already ruined. The dark silhouette glanced around but didn't see Lin Feng. However, he smiled coldly. Was it useful to hide underground? Bzzz, a gigantic hand descended from the sky and crashed the ground. Lin Feng was hit by that attack, causing him to shake violently. But then, Lin Feng disappeared again. The strong cultivator was surprised. A holy weapon. Lin Feng had an empty space holy weapon which allowed him to reappear a few hundreds of meters away. To that cultivator, such a distance was nothing, but the problem was he didn't have any more time with Qi Yun Shao quickly arriving. Piss off, a beam of light caused the sky to shake. Qi Yunsheng and Qi Yun Shao had attacked at the same time. The enemy released force which quickly surrounded Lin Feng, and then he ran towards him. "Try if you dare," shouted Qi Yun Shao furiously. He punched the air in that direction, causing the sky to shake even more. The enemy landed in front of Lin Feng. Lin Feng couldn't move because of the force. Qi Yunsheng and Qi Yun Zhao's faces turned deathly pale. Even though they hoped that Lin Feng would die at some point, they didn't hope he'd die there. "Die," said that dark silhouette releasing sharp sword energies towards Lin Feng. He was already smiling. Wind chant, a strong wind started blowing, enveloping Lin Feng, and blowing him away. The enemy was discountenanced, his smile was rigid. He was gone. How was that possible? He raised his head and he saw Lin Feng near Qi Yunsheng and Qi Yun Shao. With his force, which was multiplied by 1,000, Lin Feng still possessed such terrifying speed. It meant that Lin Feng's force was probably already multiplied by 1,000. "Why didn't you use your real strength?" asked Qi Yun Shao in a cold way. That person hadn't used real skills or techniques, just pure cosmic energies. They probably didn't want to be recognized. Many people rushed over, all of them were strong cultivators from Celestial Qi Castle. However, they had a strange smile which made Qi Yun Shao and the others feel uncomfortable. Cosmic strength condensed into a sword, as before, it was pure cosmic energy. That cultivator used no skills or techniques. "Protect Lin Feng," shouted Qi Yun Shao. An emperor instantly protected Lin Feng, and Lin Feng ran back. The person who wanted to kill him was a medium-level emperor, so Lin Feng had to gain as much distance as he could. Bzzz. A terrifying strength suddenly surrounded Lin Feng, drenching him in a cold sweat. "Be careful," shouted someone at Lin Feng. A cultivator of the 9th Zun Qi layer had released sword energies behind Lin Feng, which were now moving towards him. It was a cultivator from Celestial Qi Castle, but he wanted to kill him. You must want to die, shouted Jin Chen-jun while releasing his own force. That person suddenly couldn't move anymore. Then, his body exploded as he tried to break free. Why were people from Celestial Qi Castle attacking Lin Feng? They were committing suicide by attacking Lin Feng. At the same time, more lights condensed as the everlasting Celestial Emperor's palace appeared again. The crowd was going insane. There were battles everywhere, and even more people were coming to Celestial Qi Castle. Celestial Qi Castle couldn't stop them either, they were all emperors. Celestial Qi Castle, you said you knew nothing, and now, 2 everlasting bronze plates have appeared inside Celestial Qi Castle. You lied. Celestial Qi Castle's people know everything, said someone else. Indeed, especially Qi Yunsheng, he's a cultivator from Qingdi Mountain. He despites people, so we should capture and interrogate him. Many strong cultivators gathered together, causing the faces of Celestial Qi Castle's people pale. Kill them. Or capture them and force the truth out of them, said people unceasingly. Celestial Qi Castle had lost control. Emperor Dong and Emperor Qi were watching the battles, speechlessly. Lin Feng glanced around, looking at all the battles. People weren't just attacking him, they were also attacking Celestial Qi Castle as well. Killing him while he was on Celestial Qi Castle's territory was a good way to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Protect Lin Feng, shouted Qi Yunshao. At that moment, he looked furious. It was impossible to create a complete massacre on their territory because their cultivators were strong, but Lin Feng was too weak and too easy to target. When he said that, more sword energies moved towards Lin Feng. Someone was attacking him again. Lin Feng suddenly turned around and a force multiplied by 1,000 surrounded his enemy's body. In a flash, that person had the sensation that they were trapped in mud. Lin Feng moved like the wind and punched his opponent. There were a few cracking sounds before their organs imploded. Come to the middle, said Jin Chen-jun to Lin Feng. They surrounded Lin Feng, limiting the angles that enemies could approach from. One of their people arrived near Lin Feng faster than everybody else. Kaboom! Lin Feng condensed demonic qi in his fist and punched the enemy's head, causing it to explode. Jin Chen-jun looked at Lin Feng in a cold way. Lin Feng glanced at him and said, I don't trust people from Celestial Qi Castle. If anyone gets too close, I'll kill them. Some people from Celestial Qi Castle had already attacked him, so how could he feel safe? They could still protect him but from far away. You don't know how to differentiate good from bad, you should die. Said Emperor Qi in a cold way. Lin Feng glanced at Emperor Qi while jumping towards him. Suddenly, sword lights appeared. Emperor Qi's facial expression suddenly changed, cosmic energies condensed in front of him, but the sword energies continued moving towards him. He raised his hand to block the sword with his flesh which contained cosmic energies. However, Lin Feng moved too quickly. Emperor Qi was surprised and moved back, at the same time, force surrounded Lin Feng's body. But even then, he continued moving like the wind while threatening Emperor Qi's life. Emperor Qi joined his hands and explosion sounded. The cosmic energies broke apart and blood dripped from his hand. Last time, I warned the people from the Palace of Medicinal Kings, and now I'm warning you. When you talk to me in the future, you'd better watch your words, yelled Lin Feng. Emperor Qi was speechless. Chapter 1566, All the Everlasting Bronze Plates. What's going on, thought the crowd as they stared at the map. They looked at it, but they didn't recognize it at all. It wasn't in Qingdi Mountain's territory. The medium-level emperors from the 9 great celestial castles recognized that place, but they didn't look happy at all. It was that place, they couldn't go there were too many strong cultivators there. People from the 9 great celestial castles all remained silent, even the members from Qingdi Mountain remained silent. Maybe that there is one more bronze plate, maybe it's still not complete, thought the crowd, but they already knew that it wasn't possible. Since the palace was so far away though, why had the 5 bronze plates showed that place? Had the everlasting celestial emperor died there? Everybody, who has the 5th bronze plate? Asked a strong cultivator from the palace of medicinal kings, glancing around. If you have the 5th everlasting bronze plate, we'll have the complete map and we'll be able to find the palace. Everyone remained silent. Lin Feng's eyes were twinkling because he had the 5th one, but he didn't know what to do. If you don't have it, the 9 great celestial castles can take the plates back, and when the 5th one appears, we can meet again, said the white-bearded old man. He wanted to get all the bronze plates for himself. I don't agree. If you take them and the 5th bronze plate appears, we won't know about it, said someone in a cold way. Indeed, but maybe you have the 5th one. I think that the 9 great celestial castles should control the everlasting bronze plates. That's the best solution. Otherwise, they could get lost, and who'd be responsible if that happened? Asked a strong cultivator from the great celestial palace of thoughtfulness. The 9 great celestial castles were finally joining hands. I don't agree, said Lin Feng indifferently. Many people looked at him. Even though he wasn't an emperor yet, he had the Yaoyi amulet, so he represented Yaoyi Island. Lin Feng looked at everybody in a calm and serene way as he said, I'm the one who should manage them. The crowd was flabbergasted. Lin Feng, give us one single reason to let you manage the bronze plates, said someone. After I take the bronze plates, I'll stay inside Celestial Qi Castle, and I won't leave at all. Everyone can observe me, and with my strength, if the last one appears, I won't be able to run away or leave with all of them. Therefore, it'd be the safest choice, explained Lin Feng indifferently. Indeed, if the 9 great celestial castles took the bronze plates, nobody would be able to control them, but if Lin Feng had them and the last one appeared, he wouldn't be able to escape with them. Besides, my social status is special. If I manage the bronze plates, the 9 great celestial castles will have to protect me and ensure that I'm safe at all times. If anyone attacks me at night like tonight, the 9 great celestial castles will all be held responsible. Later, if someone has the 5th bronze plate, they'll come, and we'll do everything together. Isn't the plan perfect? Everybody seemed pensive. His idea wasn't bad. If the 9 great celestial castles don't agree, it's only because they want to keep the map for themselves, said Lin Feng, coldly glancing at the white-bearded old man and smiling coldly. He then looked at Qin Zheng and Xian Chen and said, I promise in front of the strong cultivators from Celestial Qinling Palace, the Palace of the Gods, Qingdi Mountain, and Yaoyi Island that I will take care of the bronze plates, and that when the 5th one appears, I'll ask my masters from Yaoyi Island to tell everyone about it. Why you? Why not Wen Ao Feng from the Qingdi Mountain? Or Qin Zheng? Or Xian Chen, said someone in a cold way. Oh, I don't mind either, we can all switch every 2 hours and the 4 of us can manage the bronze plates, said Lin Feng as he smiled in a cold way. No need. Brother Lin, you're right, let Brother Lin manage the plates. I will inform the teachers, said Wen Ao Feng. He thought that it would be the same if he took it, or Lin Feng, or if any of them took it. I don't mind either, said Qin Zheng and Xian Chen. Lin Feng wasn't going to escape no matter what. Thank you for your help, Brother Lin. Everybody then started leaving. Even though many people weren't happy about it, they had no choice. Lin Feng slowly walked forwards and smiled at the people from the 9 great celestial castles. Then he said indifferently, a medium-level emperor tried to kill me before. Some of you might still think that since I'm in Celestial Qi Castle, you can easily kill me and have them take the fall. However, I have to warn everybody, I now have 4 bronze plates. If anyone tries to hurt or kill me, Celestial Qi Castle won't be the only group held responsible. All the 9 great celestial castles will be held responsible. I hope that it won't happen again. Therefore, I want the 9 great celestial castles to send some extra strong cultivators to protect Lin Feng, said Qi Yunxiao in a cold way. We can talk about that together, said Lin Feng, taking the bronze plates. None of those people knew that Lin Feng had bought the last plate over a year ago. Lin Feng now had the 5th bronze plates, so he could see the complete map if he wanted to. Lin Feng took out a talisman, and a silhouette appeared. It was Emperor Shenyu. Lin Feng, shouted Emperor Shenyu after he saw Lin Feng. Uncle Shen, the palace appeared, but some medium-level emperors tried to kill me. If I stay here any longer, they'll continue to try and take my life, explained Lin Feng. Emperor Shenyu's eyes flashed, and he nodded, wait for me. If anything happens to you, remind them that all the animal emperors from Yaoyi Island will come and kill them all. Say hi to all the beasts for me, said Lin Feng smiling. Then, Emperor Shenyu's silhouette disappeared, leaving the crowd furious. They wouldn't have thought that he was so cruel. They hadn't thought that Lin Feng had so much support. He even called Emperor Shenyu uncle. They couldn't offend Lin Feng anymore. Jin Chenjun, bring me to another place, said Lin Feng to Jin Chenjun. Jin Chenjun looked at Qi Yunxiao, who nodded. Qi Yunxiao nodded at Lin Feng and said, Lin Feng, come with me. After Qi Yunxiao left with Lin Feng, he glanced at several strong cultivators, asking them to follow. Lin Feng felt like a guest of honor. Chapter 1567, Everlasting Celestial Emperor. Lin Feng went to his room and closed his eyes. He already had the 4 bronze plates, so he didn't care about the other people anymore. He had called Emperor Shenyu so that nobody would touch him anymore. Outside, the atmosphere became calm. Lin Feng unconsciously released his celestial book spirit and put the 5 bronze plates in his demonic territory. Then, he recalled his celestial book spirit. His spirit was the best ring he ever had. Nobody could find anything once it was in his spirit. At that moment, his godly awareness appeared inside his demonic territory. He looked at the 5 bronze plates as they condensed into a palace. Under the palace, there was a map, and it was a complete map. What a strange map. I don't know what that place is, thought Lin Feng. He had only been to a few places so far in the great world. He couldn't know the place on the map, but he had the impression that it was a special place. There were 4 distinct parts which, at the same time, looked like one. Apart from that, there was a dazzling place on the map which was still blurry. Lin Feng used his godly awareness to memorize the map. He didn't know what that place was, but Uncle Yu probably did. Lin Feng just had to wait patiently. Boom! At that moment, the palace disappeared, and a 70-year-old man's silhouette appeared. Lin Feng was surprised. That silhouette had appeared inside his memories, so was it a silhouette created from the connection of the 5 everlasting bronze plates? That old man looked at Lin Feng. Are you the everlasting celestial emperor, master? Asked Lin Feng. That was a thread of godly awareness which still existed inside the bronze plates. When the old man heard Lin Feng, he nodded and said, and what is your name? Lin Feng, said Lin Feng bowing. He hadn't thought he'd see the old man's godly awareness. Those who enter my palace will die if they're not lucky, so let me ask you something, would you go knowing that or not? Asked the everlasting celestial emperor indifferently. Lin Feng frowned. Master, what is the probability? Asked Lin Feng. 1 person in 100 will survive, said the old man calmly. I give up. Choose someone else, said Lin Feng. He wasn't going to gamble his life at this stage. Those who enter will inherit my everything, including all my teachings. Are you sure you wouldn't go? Asked the old man again. I'm not going, said Lin Feng refusing. Even without the everlasting great emperor's palace, he'd have many other great opportunities to become a peerless cultivator. It wasn't worth it. All right, you've passed my test. Good luck, said the old man indifferently. Then, he turned into a light and penetrated Lin Feng's brain. Lin Feng shook as memories swamped his brain. Suddenly, Lin Feng smiled wryly. What a mysterious person. Before dying, the great emperor put his godly awareness in many bronze plates which each broke into 5 pieces, when you connect the 5 pieces, you find a map and the Emperor's godly awareness condenses, making him reappear. The bronze plates don't just exist in the 9 great celestial castles, whispered Lin Feng. In that great continent, there were many places like the 9 great celestial castles. If they found the 5 bronze plates and assemble them, they could also find the map and see the Emperor's godly awareness. His godly awareness was one of the keys. Was that part of the process of which the Emperor sought his descendants after his death? If it was, many people had the chance to become descendants and Lin Feng was one of them. Those people could already find the place where the palace was. Of course, in those other places, maybe those people hadn't found the bronze plates yet. Anything was possible. Bronze plates. Lin Feng frowned and smiled wryly. The 5 bronze plates were on the ground, but nothing happened. There were just 5 bronze plates which looked rather ordinary. The map wouldn't even appear anymore. How can I explain that, thought Lin Feng, smiling and shaking his head. People would think he destroyed the bronze plates on purpose. Lin Feng didn't think too much about it before he fell back to sleep. He practiced cultivation in his dream. Since he had received the Emperor's godly awareness, he'd have to go and see the palace, otherwise, this would have been a waste. He had to get stronger before he left though. In his dream, he spent a night. On the second day, Emperor Ni Chen arrived and called him to wake him up. That was the Qingdi Mountains territory, so of course Emperor Ni Chen was the first one to arrive. Since he was there, he wanted to see the map for himself. Many people were gathered in a courtyard inside Celestial Qi Castle as they hadn't left. First, they had talked of the palace, and then they had heard that Emperor Ni Chen would come, so they had waited for him. Lin Feng slowly walked through the courtyard. It was the second time he saw Emperor Ni Chen and he looked just as strong as the year and a half before. Master, Emperor Ni Chen, said Lin Feng calmly and politely while bowing. Back then, he had thought Emperor Ni Chen would help him free his controlled friends, but Emperor Ni Chen had refused him, so he had lost all hope. Then, Emperor Ni Chen and Uncle Yu had agreed to organize a competition, so Lin Feng only had to be polite now. You have the everlasting bronze plates, right? Said Emperor Ni Chen indifferently. Indeed, said Lin Feng nodding. All right, show me them, said Emperor Ni Chen. It sounded normal for him. Lin Feng had the plates, so he had to show them to him. I think we should wait for Yao Yi Island, the celestial Qinling Palace and the Palace of the Gods, replied Lin Feng. He wouldn't be able to explain why nothing happened if he took them out now. Emperor Ni Chen frowned and said, "What are you saying?" I think we should wait for Yao Yi Island, the celestial Qinling Palace and the Palace of the Gods as well, repeated Lin Feng. Suddenly, Emperor Ni Chen's facial expression changed drastically. How audacious. People from the 9 great celestial castles never contradicted him, and Lin Feng dared. He was an extremely strong cultivator from Qingdi Mountain. Chapter 1568, Xixiang City. Emperor Ni Chen was dumbstruck. He didn't release any qi, but Lin Feng still felt oppressed. However, he remained calm and serene and said nothing. You think that I can't look at the map? Asked Emperor Ni Chen calmly. I never said that. Some things have changed, so I prefer to wait for all the strong cultivators from Yao Yi Island and so on to come first, said Lin Feng. Emperor Ni Chen remained silent and smiled at Lin Feng indifferently. Very good, let's wait for Emperor Shenyu. What he was really thinking though was, his disciple is too stubborn. Thank you very much, Master, said Lin Feng to Emperor Ni Chen. Emperor Ni Chen was wondering what Lin Feng meant by, things have changed. What changed? Lin Feng, you said we were waiting for Emperor Shenyu, but in the meantime will you tell him to tell us the location? You won't forget it, right? Asked the Emperor. He wasn't relaxed at all. Don't worry. A promise is a promise, said Lin Feng. The crowd was relieved and waited patiently with Lin Feng. 4 hours later, finally, a sonic boom was heard as a strong cultivator arrived. He was wearing the same robe as Qin Zheng, but even though their robes were similar, the newcomer's robe were shinier. It was a strong cultivator from celestial Qinling Palace. "Teacher," said Qin Zheng. The strong cultivator looked at Qin Zheng and asked, "Where's the map?" Qin Zheng looked at Lin Feng. Then Emperor Ni Chen stood up and said, "The map is with him. His name is Lin Feng and he's Shen Yu's disciple. He says he wants to wait for everyone before showing us the map." "Is that so?" asked that person to Lin Feng. "Indeed," said Lin Feng. His eyes twinkled, as he nodded and said, "All right, I'm waiting then." The strong cultivator from the palace of the gods met Emperor Shen Yu on the way, so they came together. "Lin Feng," shouted Emperor Shen Yu when he saw Lin Feng. "Brother Shen Yu, finally, you're here," said Emperor Ni Chen to Emperor Shen Yu. "Your disciple is a good boy." Emperor Shen Yu's eyes twinkled, and he said, "I just brought Lin Feng to Yaoyi Island, so he's not my disciple. I can't teach him anything either." Emperor Shen Yu was very modest. His help had been precious for Lin Feng. Lin Feng understood too many kinds of abstruse energies, so it was funny to hear him say that he couldn't help him. "Is that so?" asked Emperor Ni Chen indifferently. "Brother Shen Yu, remember what we agreed almost 2 years ago." "Ao Feng, come here," said Emperor Ni Chen to one Ao Feng, who nodded and jumped forwards. Emperor Shen Yu glanced at one Ao Feng and immediately understood. When Ao Feng had broken through to the Huang Qi layer. "My disciple has already become an emperor. Maybe that the battle isn't so necessary anymore," said Emperor Ni Chen indifferently. That's what Shen Yu had told him back then, that he was blind and that a battle wasn't necessary. He had humiliated him because he had refused Lin Feng. "Ni Chen, I wouldn't have thought that you were so short-sighted," said Shen Yu indifferently glancing at Ni Chen. 1 year ago, on the battle stage, when Ao Feng was a cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer. I don't know if he hid his force or not, but it was at least multiplied by 700, and his abstruse energies were all at the top already. He was only 1 step away from breaking through to the Huang Qi layer. When I took Lin Feng away, his force was multiplied by 800, he had broken through to the 7th Zun Qi layer only, and his abstruse energies weren't even level 9. When Ao Feng has broken through to the Huang Qi layer, yes, so what? There's nothing dazzling about that. You didn't only bring one Ao Feng back to the Qingdi mountain, what about the others? The strong cultivators from celestial Qinling Palace and the Palace of the Gods didn't interrupt them, they weren't in any hurry to see the map. Rather, they were interested in their conversation. "You, come and show Shen Yu," said Emperor Ni Chen indifferently. 4-5 people came out, including Yi Sheng, Qi Yu Chen, and Zhou Tianruo, against whom Lin Feng had already fought. "Ni Chen, you like competitions. Choose 3 of them and make them fight against Lin Feng, a battle to death, 3 against 1. If Lin Feng dies, I'll apologize," said Emperor Shen Yu indifferently. 3 people, together, the crowd was surprised by his confidence. He was so confident that Lin Feng was that strong. After all, people raised by Emperor Ni Chen couldn't be that weak. Interesting, thought the strong cultivator from celestial Qinling Palace with his hands crossed on his chest. He looked amused. Emperor Ni Chen was speechless. But Lin Feng's strength was difficult to evaluate. After all, when he had the strength of the 7th Zun Qi layer, he could already easily defeat Zhou Tianruo. "Stop your bickering, let's see the map instead," said the strong cultivator from the Palace of the Gods. "It's not over. We'll see when that guy breaks through to the Huang Qi layer," said Emperor Ni Chen in a cold way. He didn't count Qi Yu Chen and the others because he only considered one Ao Feng his real disciple. "We're all here now, so just show us already," said Emperor Ni Chen to Lin Feng in a cold way. "The bronze plates are useless now," said Lin Feng. Suddenly, the atmosphere became eerily silent and ice-cold. The everlasting bronze plates had become useless. Was Lin Feng provoking all those strong cultivators? But after the everlasting bronze plates became useless, the map penetrated my memory. After you see that, you will understand, said Lin Feng. He opened his third eye and 4 threads of godly awareness moved into the 4 emperors' third eyes. Lin Feng had the maps in his memories, of course, he wasn't going to show them the everlasting celestial emperor silhouette. He knew that if he didn't show them the map, they wouldn't let him off so easily. They saw the map but had no way to get into the palace still. The 4 emperors' eyes twinkled. The crowd hadn't seen anything. What had Lin Feng done? All right, I'm satisfied, said the strong cultivator from the celestial Qinling palace. Ni Chen glanced at Lin Feng. Surprisingly, he had the 5th everlasting bronze plates and had fooled everyone to get the 4 others. Of course, Emperor Ni Chen wasn't going to say that, otherwise, Lin Feng would have to tell everyone. Lin Feng, don't forget what you said someone hastily. What had Lin Feng seen? Don't worry, Uncle Yu, I don't know where that place is, so can you tell them, said Lin Feng to Emperor Shenyu. Shenyu nodded and said to the crowd, the map points to Xixiang City. Xixiang City, the crowd was stupefied. How? Why would the palace be in Xixiang City? After the everlasting celestial emperor died, his people looked for his palace everywhere, so Xixiang City was completely upside down. How could it still be there? If you don't believe me, you can ask them, said Emperor Shenyu, pointing at Ni Chen and the other emperors. Then they all nodded back. Indeed, it's in Xixiang City. We should leave as soon as possible. Xixiang City is gigantic, so it will take some time to search it, said the white-bearded old man from the Palace of Medicinal Kings indifferently, but he glanced at Lin Feng. How could they find the actual palace in Xixiang City? He had the feeling that Lin Feng had hidden something from them. I did what I promised. If you want the bronze plates, have them, said Lin Feng, throwing the plates. Then, he said to Emperor Shenyu, Uncle Yu, let's go. All right, said Emperor Shenyu, nodding. Then, Emperor Shenyu and Lin Feng left quickly. If Emperor Shenyu hadn't come, Lin Feng wouldn't have been able to leave. Nobody could prevent them from leaving, but the crowd wasn't happy. Now they had to go to Xixiang City, and the 3 other emperors wouldn't tell them much. Chapter 1569, Fighting against the Bestial Emperor. Again, the news that the everlasting emperor's palace was in Xixiang City spread everywhere. Now everybody now knew about it, however, many people doubted that it was actually there. Some people even said it was ridiculous. Back then, the Great Imperial Everlasting Palace was one of the most terrifying groups of influence in Xixiang City. Then, the everlasting celestial emperor had died, and his people had looked for his palace everywhere, but they hadn't found anything. Now, the everlasting bronze plates were pointing to Xixiang City, exactly where the everlasting celestial emperor used to be. Lin Feng and Emperor Shenyu went back to Yaoyi Island. Emperor Shenyu explained some things to Lin Feng to help him better understand everything which was going on. The most interesting part was that Emperor Shenyu had told Lin Feng something else. He had told Lin Feng the real location of the Great Imperial Everlasting Palace. Back then, in Xixiang City, the Great Imperial Everlasting Palace wasn't far from a celestial mountain in a forbidden area where people would die if they dared trespass. Lin Feng was speechless. Was the everlasting emperor's palace really in such a forbidden area? That would explain why the palace hadn't been found. But even then, Lin Feng still wanted to go to Xixiang City. He wanted to explore the world. If the place was really dangerous, he wouldn't risk his life in the end. However, he was determined that he had to take some risks. Of course, Lin Feng wasn't in a rush. He had to become stronger first. On Yaoyi Island, in a forest, before a hut, there was a beautiful girl concocting a potion. Lin Feng was reminded of Mr. Xiao. Back then, Mr. Xiao was also an amazing doctor, and his medicine could save people's lives. He and his friend couldn't stop performing research, it was their passion. Even though Yun wasn't a doctor, she loved helping and healing people. Lin Feng, said Mu Yun, smiling in a resplendent way after she saw Lin Feng. There was an old man next to the thatched hut. He was curved, but it was as if he had always been like that. He was a fire beast, so his eyes were red like fire. Master Hu Jing, said Lin Feng to the ape. Hey, said the ape nodding at Lin Feng. He liked it quiet, so he just stared back at them. Yun, I won't be able to come and see you for a while. I need to study for some time. Then, I'll leave again, said Lin Feng. At some point, Yun would look for Lin Feng when he practiced cultivation. She usually brought fruits and medicine to help him. Alright, be careful, said Yun, smiling in a resplendent way. This world is the beast's world, but it is simpler than the world of humans, said Lin Feng, smiling to Yun in a gentle way. Then, he sat down. I think so too. It's perfect for me, said Yun. Lin Feng lied down nonchalantly. Even though that place was a good place to practice cultivation, he couldn't stay there. He had to practice in the outside world sometimes and experience to surpass bottlenecks. Lin Feng remained silent for 4 hours and rested. Then, he stood up and left. He started practicing cultivation and studying abstruse energies. Cultivation layers were now useless to Lin Feng. Even if he broke through to the 9th Zun Qi layer, it wouldn't help him at all. He would have to do that at some point to break through to the Huang Qi layer, but before that, he had to improve his abstruse energies to level 9. 1 month later, a mountain exploded. Roar! The great earth demon ape roared furiously and released demonic qi. He violently jumped forwards with incredible speed, the ground collapsing under his feet. Boom boom, a gigantic demonic hand blotted out the sky. In the sky above Lin Feng, an infinite amount of demonic shadows fell like meteorites. Wind chant. Lin Feng moved like the wind using wind and empty space energies, practically disappearing from sight. Where are you going? Shouted the great earth demon ape as he slapped the sky with his almighty palm. His cosmic energies turned into a gigantic earthen hand and a cage made from earth appeared. Great earth destruction, the cosmic energies turned into a cage, causing the wind to disperse. Lin Feng didn't stop though. Boom boom boom, the hand crashed onto the ground, leaving a gigantic crater. Demonic chi rose to the skies as another punch appeared. At the same time, another hand appeared. This one contained aggressive demonic strength which blocked Lin Feng's path. Slash, sword lights shot out. Then, Lin Feng moved like the wind and dodged the attack again. Boom! The great earth demon ape trampled the ground, leaving a gigantic footprint crater. He finally stopped and looked at Lin Feng furiously. Lin Feng, you're so fast, said the great earth demon ape. Force multiplied by 1,000 already had no effect on Lin Feng anymore. Because the great earth demon ape was an adept at close combat, Lin Feng could counter all his attacks. With such speed, the great earth demon ape could only get upset with Lin Feng. Of course, emperors, even if they were slow, were usually faster than cultivators at the top of the Zun Qi layer. But because the great earth demon ape was a beast and had better attack than speed, and because Lin Feng was terrifyingly fast, the great earth demon ape couldn't catch up with Lin Feng in terms of speed. It's alright. Now, you can't bully me anymore, said Lin Feng laughing. When he had just arrived on Yaoyi Island, the great earth demon ape always bullied him, but now he could finally end that. I'm done, said the great earth demon ape taking a breath. Hey, buddy, let me try too, said Lin Feng. Boom! Lin Feng punched the great earth demon ape's chest, causing lights to spread out in every direction. A terrifying strength almost stunned the great earth demon ape. He raised his head and looked at Lin Feng's tiny body. Boom boom! The great earth demon ape kicked Lin Feng, causing him to fly away. The sky shook, and the great ape was pushed back a few steps. Lin Feng's punch was powerful. The great earth demon ape raised his head, he couldn't believe it. He smiled at Lin Feng and said, "Little boy, you can go and travel now." "That's exactly what I intend to do, see you soon, buddy." Lin Feng's silhouette flickered. He waved at the Great Earth Demon Ape while leaving. The Great Earth Demon Ape had a big smile on his face after thought about how scary Lin Feng was becoming. Chapter 1570, Xixiang City. In the sky above a boundless area, there was a gigantic group of people flying in the sky. There were strong winds and beasts too. They all blotted out the sky. At that moment, there was a sharp sword traveling in the clouds, whistling and emitting blasting sounds as it flew. It was Lin Feng. He was gazing into the distance as he appreciated just how vast the great world was. If he had been in the small world, he wouldn't have been able to see such varying landscapes. People were sitting on clouds, each of their chi was incredible. Some of them were even enigmatic and unfathomable cultivators. Strong cultivators were numerous in the great world, and as Lin Feng became strong, he continued seeing people who were even stronger than him. Someday, he'd definitely stand at the top of the continent of the 9 clouds though. The sword he was riding on was his Tianji sword. It was now even faster than the gigantic sword he had received. Xixiang City was extremely far from Yaoyi Island. So, he needed to travel as fast as he could. Many strong cultivators had already started their journey to Xixiang City, but Lin Feng hadn't followed them. He had decided to practice cultivation for a while instead. He had already left Yaoyi Island for a month before he finally reached the sky above Xixiang City. Xixiang City was gigantic, much larger than Ba Huang in the small world. Lin Feng's target destination was the Great Imperial Everlasting Palace, located inside the Forbidden Area. Many other people were looking for the Great Imperial Everlasting Palace already. The Everlasting Celestial Emperor's godly awareness had told Lin Feng that he had left many bronze tablets in that world, so there would be more individuals who had a piece of the old man's awareness. Even if they didn't have 5 bronze tablets, with just 3 or 4, they could still know that the Great Imperial Everlasting Palace was in Xixiang City. According to legends, the Great Imperial Everlasting Palace contained the Everlasting Celestial Emperor's teachings and memories. Many incredibly strong cultivators were attracted by the dream of getting their hands on them. The Everlasting Celestial Emperor's everlasting spells were unfathomable, so much so that some of his disciples had become incredible cultivators themselves. Many of them had even become great emperors. Of course, Xixiang City's people didn't fear seeing more tourists or migrants. These immigrants helped contribute to the strength of the city. If Lin Feng hadn't received the Everlasting Celestial Emperor's godly awareness, he wouldn't have come to Xixiang City at all. There were countless powerful cultivators who were looking for the Great Imperial Everlasting Palace. There were even many great emperors who were looking for those vestiges. However, the godly awareness had warned Lin Feng about that. "What a great sword," said someone at that moment. There were 4 people, amongst them, there was a beautiful woman who was looking at Lin Feng. She had seen Lin Feng and his Tianji sword, and she was amazed. Lin Feng's sword had great thunder and wind energies. It also had 7 colors gleaming from it. Those people all had swords on their back, making them look like sword cultivators. Therefore, the beautiful woman had noticed Lin Feng particularly. One of the young men with her looked at Lin Feng and said, "Swords are used to kill people, those who use swords as ornaments shouldn't be called sword cultivators, they also don't deserve to practice sword cultivation." That's your opinion. There are many ways to achieve enlightenment and there are many ways to practice sword cultivation. Each person is different and will choose different paths in life. What you like isn't necessarily applicable to other people, said the girl indifferently. Next to her, there was a young man dressed in black clothes, his eyes were closed as he thought about this. He had an ancient sword resting on his back, sheathed. "What you say is not groundless, but I've always believed that sword cultivators are killers and not people who try to dazzle," said that young man again. The girl wasn't looking at him anymore though, so he was a bit annoyed. She looked at the young man in black clothes. Ever since he had joined Sword Mountain, she had been interested in him. How can you judge a person just by looking at their sword? They say you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, said the girl putting as she brushed her hair away. The one in black clothes still remained silent. She was annoyed. He didn't pay attention to anyone. It was no wonder that girls liked him, because of his mysteriousness. Wuxia, open your eyes and tell us what you think, said the girl to the young man in black clothes. Wuxia opened his eyes and asked, where? There, that beautiful sword, said the girl smiling and pointing at the Tianji sword. Wuxia turned around and saw the Tianji sword. He was astonished. He looked at the young man in white clothes on the sword, then he suddenly smiled in a resplendent way. The girl was surprised to see Wuxia smile in such a resplendent way. This was a guy who rarely showed any emotion. Quick, said Wuxia accelerating and moving at full speed. Lin Feng, shouted a voice. Lin Feng suddenly turned around after he heard that familiar voice. Lin Feng saw a friend and he smiled back in a resplendent way. Wuxia. They were happy to see each other again. They both stretched out their hands and bumped fists. I'm so happy to see you again, said Wuxia, sighing. They hadn't met for 2 years now. They were like brothers in the small world, not knowing if the other was still alive. Lin Feng nodded, he was also happy. Where were the other disciples from Tiantai? Lin Feng, how is our teacher? Asked Wuxia. He suddenly seemed nervous. Lin Feng and Emperor Yu had left together back then, but Emperor Yu wasn't with him now, so he was worried. We haven't met each other for 1.5 years now, but when we left, he was already cured. With his strength, even in the great world, as long as he's careful there shouldn't be any problems, said Lin Feng. Wuxia felt a bit relieved. Do you have any news from our fellow disciples? Asked Wuxia. Ban Ruo, Li Hen, Xing Zhan are being controlled by Celestial Qi Castle, said Lin Feng. Wuxia looked furious after he heard that. He had escaped from Celestial Qi Castle and had spent a lot of time in the desert. Of course, he knew about the 9 great celestial castles, so when things had calmed down, he left and had joined Sword Mountain. Wuxia, what about you? Do you have any news from our brother Mu Chen? Asked Lin Feng. He was used to calling him Mu Chen. He controls soul cosmic energies, so he must be fine. Concerning our second brother, I saw him break free and escape. I don't know where he went. I have no news from the others though, said Wuxia. He was worried and hoped that everybody was fine. Someday, the 11 disciples of Tiantai will reunite, said Lin Feng. They had to become stronger if they wanted to annihilate Celestial Qi Castle and save all their friends, including Yuan Fei. Lin Feng wanted to bring Yuan Fei to Yaoyi Island to see all the powerful animals there. Lin Feng, what if Tiantai rose in the great world? Then all the disciples would be reunited, said Wuxia. Lin Feng's eyes twinkled. Tiantai, in the great world. Rebuild Tiantai. In 100 or 1,000 years, we won't be the only ones who would have come out of the small world. Maybe if Tiantai rises, we'll be able to recruit some of those rising cultivators and we'll be able to take control over the small world. That is also our teacher's dream, explained Wuxia. Chapter 1571, Former site. There were 11 disciples in Tiantai, apart from the 3 who were controlled by Celestial Qi Castle and Wuxia, there were 6 other people from whom they had heard no news. If Tiantai could rise in the great world, they'd have to gather all the disciples. They'd also need Mu Chen and Emperor Yu. Besides, Mu Chen also controlled the Watchers and wanted to achieve certain goals with them, including the destruction of the Imperial Assassin Union. They also hoped that the small world could become a free world, removing external forces from controlling them. We're not strong enough, so we can't control a group of influence in the great world. We could easily be destroyed by others if we tried. However, I'll keep that in mind. When we become stronger, we can try then, said Lin Feng after having remained silent for a few minutes. Ruo Xie agreed, of course. Indeed, I understand, said Ruo Xie nodding. Ruo Xie, is that one of your friends from the small world? I wouldn't have thought that you people could be so determined, but it's a good thing. To establish an influential group in the great world, you need a high-level emperor at least. It's a bit too early to talk about that though, said the young man with whom the girl had been talking before. Brother Ruo Xie, you're not in the small world anymore, said that young man. Thank you very much for your advice, said Ruo Xie calmly. He was talking to Lin Feng and didn't want that young man to join their conversation. By the way, where do you practice cultivation these days? Asked the young man to Lin Feng indifferently. On an island. Lin Feng replied. You should join Sword Mountain. I see that you're also a sword cultivator. Sword Mountain is a paradise for sword cultivators. I can even recommend you, said the girl politely smiling at Lin Feng. Sister, said the young man angrily. He then added, Sister, people have their own way of practicing cultivation, and the Sword Mountain doesn't recruit people that easily. It's not something you do just like that. Trying doesn't harm anyone, said the girl. Of course, if you want to try and join Sword Mountain, no problem, we really can recommend you, but it still won't be an easy process, said the young man smiling at Lin Feng. It's alright but thank you, said Lin Feng. He didn't know why that young man was making fun of him, but he didn't feel like arguing with them. Ruo Xie, let's talk privately, said Lin Feng to Ruo Xie. Then, both silhouettes flickered, and they moved far away. Lin Feng, in this world, people are not like us. It's much easier to become stronger in this world, said Ruo Xie calmly. That young man kept provoking Lin Feng because he liked that girl and partly because they were from a small world. They haven't gone through as many hardships as we have and they're not as wise and mature, said Lin Feng nodding. Indeed, in this world, there's a kind of pill people take at birth which changes their bodies. Afterwards, it helps them swallow the chi of the earth and sky before having even started practicing cultivation. There can even be Tian-level babies born in this world. Everybody takes that pill at birth in this world, even if it's expensive, their elders will find a way to buy it. Lin Feng was astonished when he heard Ruo Xie and smiled wryly. It reminded him of those people in the Celestial Walls Manor who had grown up with an understanding of force, and on top of that they inherited a powerful blood strength from their ancestors. Those people were already Tian-level cultivators when they were babies. At that time, they were still trying to find themselves. They didn't know what they wanted to become in the future. At the age of 15, in the great world, people were already Zun cultivators. Apart from that, where are you going now? Asked Ruo Xie to Lin Feng. I'm going to the great imperial everlasting palace, replied Lin Feng. Ruo Xie smiled and said, You also came for that? But Ruo Xie looked nervous and said, Lin Feng, many disciples from Sword City came here. We're a small group but according to legends I've heard in Sword Mountain, the great imperial everlasting palace shouldn't have appeared in its former location. We should try some other places and try our luck. I've also heard that it could be in the periphery of its former location, said Lin Feng smiling. Ruo Xie nodded and said, Alright, I'll stay with you, but we shouldn't hope too much. Then, they both accelerated. Those behind them had to struggle to catch up with them because they were too fast. Ruo Xie, where are you going? Asked the girl. Great Imperial Everlasting Palace's former location, said Ruo Xie. The girl frowned, and the young man said mockingly, Are you insane? Why would the Great Imperial Everlasting Palace be on its former site? I didn't ask you to come, said Ruo Xie indifferently. The young man looked upset as he said to the girl, Since it's that way, we can separate from them. Indeed, you can stay alone, I'm going with Ruo Xie, said the girl. Then she caught up with Ruo Xie and Lin Feng and the young man behind looked even more upset. However, he still chased after them. One day later, Lin Feng and the others arrived in another place in Xixiang City. There were gigantic ruined palaces resting in front of them. It looked like a former city. The great imperial everlasting palace's former site, thought Lin Feng. Even though there were only ruins, it still looked majestic. Lin Feng could imagine the great imperial everlasting palace back in the days, lofty, domineering, majestic. Back then, the everlasting celestial emperor lived in his own palace, which is the great imperial everlasting palace we talked about. It disappeared along with the everlasting celestial emperor, though, it used to be here, said the girl pointing at an empty field. There were ruins all around, but the great imperial everlasting palace had long since disappeared. All the other palaces around were palaces where his disciples lived. I've heard that the everlasting celestial emperor fell because of one or several of his disciples. I don't know whether it's true or not, said the girl. Sister, shouted her fellow disciple suddenly. He looked grave and solemn. The girl suddenly stopped talking as if she realized that she had said something she shouldn't have. Even though the everlasting celestial emperor had fallen, some of his disciples were still alive, and some of them were even terrifying great emperors. They could destroy Sword Mountain entirely if they wished so. There were many others there with them, all trying to find the same thing. Lin Feng glanced at the people around them. The everlasting celestial emperor had fallen for so many years and yet it still attracted so many people. What an honor! Chapter 1572, The Forbidden Area of Xixiang, Lu Yao. People from Sword Mountain came to Xixiang City too, said someone in the distance, looking at Wuxia and the others. Lu Yao was precisely the young man who kept provoking Lin Feng and Wuxia. They're here too. Lu Yao was surprised. Sword Mountain didn't send any emperors, asked that person glancing at Lu Yao and Wuxia. Apart from Lin Feng, Lu Yao and the others were cultivators of the 9th Zun Qi layer, without any emperors to protect them. We came alone, so we don't know whether Sword Mountain has sent any emperors yet, said Lu Yao honestly. You're just like us, Lu Yao. We should stick together in case any of the emperors here attack us. What do you think? Asked that person to the team from Sword Mountain. Their team was the same as the team from Sword Mountain, 3 people, 2 men and a woman. They had also all broken through to the 9th Zun Qi layer. What do you think, sister? Should we stay together? Wuxia, what do you think? Asked Lu Yao to the girl and Wuxia, but he ignored Lin Feng. The 2 of us are enough, said Wuxia. He wasn't interested in joining those people. Lu Yao groaned coldly. Sister, they don't care about you, so let's just go, said Lu Yao to the girl. Wuxia was obviously talking about him and Lin Feng. But he was amused because those 2 came from a small world and couldn't be that strong. If they stayed alone, they'd probably be in danger. Do you mind if I stay with you? Asked the girl to Wuxia and Lin Feng with a cute face. As Lin Feng and Wuxia had said, those people had high cultivation levels but weren't mature at all. She was acting like a kid. She can, said Lin Feng to Wuxia smiling. That girl was hot, maybe she could become Wuxia's girlfriend in the future. Wuxia remained silent but finally nodded, all right. The girl smiled at Lin Feng. Your sword is very beautiful. What kind of sword is it? Its name is Tianji, replied Lin Feng. Lu Yao looked back at them in a cold way and groaned. He was already with the other group. Lin Feng, where are we going to find clues? Asked Wuxia. Since they had come all the way to Xixiang City, they had to try their luck in finding the great imperial everlasting palace. I've heard about a restricted area. Wuxia, I think we should go there, said Lin Feng with a glint in his eye. He didn't say that the palace was there, and he didn't even know how to get into the forbidden area anyways. Wuxia didn't know either, therefore, they would need to do some reconnaissance. I've also heard about a forbidden area. It's very dangerous, even great emperor don't dare go there. It is said that nobody ever comes back once they enter, said the girl nodding. She was also very curious about it. Wuxia didn't mind, he had left Sword Mountain to gain experience. The three of them all had a map of Xixiang City, so they knew where to go. When Lu Yao and the others saw the others leave, they were intrigued. Lu Yao said, "We have no clues either, so let's go to the forbidden area too." The forbidden area wasn't far from the former site of the great imperial everlasting palace. The entrance was gigantic, but it was misty, so people could only guess what was inside. It was said that great emperors could make a few steps in and then come back safe, however, as they went further in, even great emperors wouldn't make it out. Lin Feng and the others stood outside as they looked at the misty entrance. Lin Feng's eyes were twinkling. He had gathered some information about the forbidden area, but everything was the same and nothing was useful. People just said that it was very dangerous and that even great emperors never came back out alive. It was difficult to imagine that the everlasting celestial emperor had chosen that place to establish his palace. Lin Feng noticed many people around them, but most of them looked dispirited. They didn't look interested after they looked at the mysterious mist. Lin Feng understood that those people were like him, that they had learned something about the forbidden area from the godly awareness left by the emperor. They were just guarding the gate to see if anyone would come out with anything. "Get in," said Lin Feng. Suddenly, his Tianji sword whistled and pierced through the mist, suddenly entering the forbidden area. Bzzz. Many people saw him and rushed over. They glanced at him, but quickly lost interest. He was only a boy of the 8th Zun Qi layer. Even some great emperors had used weapons, to which their godly awareness was connected, to inspect the forbidden area, but they had found nothing. Inside the forbidden area, Lin Feng's Tianji sword saw darkness, space-like darkness. At some point, the sword stopped and shook. It released wind and empty space energies, ready to escape just in case. Slash, a terrifying wind swallowed the Tianji sword. Suddenly, it flew away. In the darkness, terrifying destructive energies attacked the Tianji sword, seemingly capable of consuming the sword in one strike. "Come out," shouted Lin Feng. The Tianji sword immediately flew towards the exit and then reappeared next to Lin Feng. It was buzzing, looking extremely scared. "What a powerful sword," said the young woman next to Wuxia. They didn't know how dumbstruck Lin Feng was at that moment. While the Tianji sword was in the forbidden area, Lin Feng had had the sensation that the connection between him and his sword was going to be broken. Luckily, he had reacted in time and saved it. "What did you see inside, Lin Feng?" asked the girl. "It's just darkness and there's a terrifying destructive wind. There are some lights too, they look like some type of counterforce. I can only imagine how destructive they were," said Lin Feng. According to legends, the forbidden area existed before Xixiang City. Nobody knows what that place is though. Some people say that in the past, the everlasting celestial emperor used terrifying spells to travel inside, but nobody really knows whether it's true or not, said the girl. Chapter 1573, Forbidden Areas Lights. Lin Feng was convinced that there had to be some people already inside. In the great world, there were many terrifyingly strong cultivators. If one of these extremely strong cultivators had managed to go inside, they probably wouldn't talk about it to just anyone. At that moment, some people arrived next to everyone and looked at Lin Feng, or more precisely, at his sword. That sword had been into the forbidden area and had come back out. Even though it had only lasted a few seconds, they were still awed by it. If they could get that sword, they would also be able to see what was inside the forbidden area. Lin Feng sensed those greedy eyes looking at him. That sword seems useful after all, said Lu Yao at that moment. Everybody, I only glanced at the entrance, and saw that there's a terrifying destructive strength inside. My sword was almost destroyed inside, that's why I brought it back as soon as I could. That sword is connected to my soul, and I've been raising it for a long time, so even if it's in someone else's hands, it's useless. Lin Feng explained to the crowd calmly. Lin Feng's message had the intended effect. When the crowd heard him, many of them forgot about it. Lin Feng was right, he had raised it, so it would only listen to him. Anyone can control a weapon if they're strong enough. Your cultivation level is low, and you can use the sword to get inside, so if a stronger cultivator used it and cleansed it, they'd be able to explore the forbidden area, reasoned Lu Yao. Even though he sounded calm on the outside, on the inside, he was smiling coldly. My cultivation level is low. Are you implying is that your sword is more powerful than my sword, said Lin Feng, glancing back at Lu Yao indifferently. Lin Feng didn't usually care about his provocations, but this time, he was provoking everybody else against him. Lu Yao looked at Lin Feng, his eyes gleaming with sword lights. In Sword Mountain, swords were equivalent to people's lives. They loved swords more than anything else. Lin Feng had only broken through to the 8th Zun Qi layer and was from a small world, so Lu Yao didn't fear him. Indeed, that's exactly what I think, said Lu Yao, emphasizing each of his words. Surprisingly, he was even releasing sharp energies, and condensing a sword. Slash, slash. Lin Feng's Tianji sword was furious as it suddenly spat out thunderous energies. The thunderous energies moved quickly, instilling some fear into Lu Yao. The lightning collided with Lu Yao's sword lights and their energies exploded against each other. But even then, the Tianji sword continued moving towards Lu Yao's throat. Die, shouted Lu Yao. He suddenly released sharp sword lights from his third eye while condensing a sharp sword with his godly awareness. He had no choice but to use his godly awareness at this point. The Tianji sword and his godly awareness collided. Lu Yao shook violently, it felt like his godly awareness was going to explode. Lu Yao thought that he was doomed. He hadn't believed that Lin Feng's sword could be that fast. He didn't even have time to use his full strength. However, Lu Yao realized that he was still alive. Lin Feng had recalled his Tianji sword, which was now floating above his head. Lin Feng didn't kill him. Lu Yao looked depressed as he recalled his godly awareness. He felt humiliated. He was a disciple from Sword Mountain, but he still lost to a nobody in a contest of swords. Brother Lu Yao, don't fret, he just attacked you by surprise is all. In a real battle, you could have won, said one of the young men in the group Lu Yao had joined. He had already sacrificed his sword a moment before coming to see Xiang City, if he hadn't, he might have won. I guarantee you that if you hadn't sacrificed your sword, the results would be the same. You wouldn't even have an opportunity to unsheath your sword. Besides, you won't have a second chance, said Lin Feng calmly. Brother Lu Yao, if you're not determined, you don't deserve to be called a sword cultivator, said the one next to him. Lu Yao's looked horrified. If he backed down now, it would be a sign of weakness. After all, Lin Feng was weaker than him in cultivations, so there should be no reason for him to cower away. Do you want to die? Said Lin Feng to the one who was provoking him. Lin Feng knew what that guy's intentions were. If you want to die, come here, said Lin Feng. He released cold sword energies which surrounded that person. That person's heart started racing. He also released terrifying energies. That person's chi progressively weakened and finally disappeared. He ended up groaning from the effort. He had come for the great imperial palace, not to fight against this Lin Feng nobody. Let's go, said that person turning around and leaving. Lu Yao glanced at Lin Feng in a deep and meaningful way before he left. He wanted his godly awareness to stabilize before he fought against Lin Feng again. People around them also left after that. Then, Lin Feng returned his attention back to the entrance of the forbidden area. Let's go, said Lin Feng, going to another place. Wuxia and the girl followed him. The girl thought that Lin Feng was rather mysterious. His dazzling sword was extremely powerful. If Lin Feng hadn't controlled himself, he could have destroyed Lu Yao's godly awareness and killed him. A short time after, Lin Feng and the others traveled a few hundred meters away, still on the periphery of the forbidden area. The Tianji sword kept buzzing and shaking. It was surrounded by wind and empty space energies. It was also surrounded by thunders. It was getting ready to protect itself against the lights inside the forbidden area. Go in. Lin Feng's Tianji sword penetrated the forbidden area again. His soul and his sword were connected so he could clearly sense everything his sword sensed. As before, there was only darkness inside, but there was also those star-like light projections. The destructive strength from before rose again. How come I have the impression that it is like a starry sky, thought Lin Feng. His Tianji sword rushed back, and he continued moving along. It was always the same, no matter where Lin Feng probed. But during one of these probes, a shooting star passed by. With its appearance, there were more and more lights which contained destructive energies. What a terrifying strength, thought Lin Feng, shaking. He made his Tianji sword come back and frowned. It seemed that with his strength, he basically couldn't go into the forbidden area. Chapter 1574, Gigantic Elephant. Lin Feng, why do you keep exploring the forbidden area? Asked Wuxia. He didn't understand. Since Lin Feng knew what was inside, why did he need to keep observing it? Was there any hidden secret inside? Since the disciples of the everlasting celestial emperor explored the whole city and found nothing, there must be something in the forbidden area, said Lin Feng. Wuxia and the girls' eyes twinkled. Lin Feng was smart, and after they thought about it some more, they also thought that it was highly likely. Otherwise, how come the disciples of the emperor hadn't found anything anywhere in Xixiang City? Of course, that's only a guess, but we can't put it aside, said Lin Feng after he saw that the two looked pensive. Indeed, that's possible, but even if the everlasting celestial emperor could get inside, we definitely can't. If the everlasting celestial emperor wanted to hide his palace, why do people say he was looking for a descendant? Asked Wuxia. There were still some things they didn't understand. If the rumors are true, then there must be a way to get into the forbidden area, said Lin Feng. Therefore, I intend to wait here for the situation to change. Wuxia, what do you want to do? I just came to gather experience, so I don't have anything specific in mind. Since you want to wait here, I'll stay here with you for a while, replied Wuxia. Lin Feng and Wuxia were under different situations. Lin Feng had received the everlasting celestial emperor's godly awareness, therefore, he knew those things about the palace were true. Besides, he had communicated with the everlasting celestial emperor, which meant that he had chances to get into the palace, and de facto into the forbidden area. A few days later, Lin Feng was still waiting outside. At that moment, the Tianji sword penetrated the forbidden area again, but the scenery was the same. There were destructive star lights which forced him to pull back his sword immediately. Lin Feng recalled his sword and decided not to use it to find clues anymore. Instead, he went to a mountain range not far from the forbidden area to practice cultivation while dreaming. Time passed, and apart from Lin Feng, many people were waiting. Maybe they were like Lin Feng in that they had obtained 5 everlasting bronze plates and were sure that the great imperial everlasting palace was in the forbidden area. Around 20 days passed, and suddenly, a sound emerged from the forbidden area. It sounded like an elephant. An elephant sound again. Suddenly, many people opened their eyes. These elephant sounds were a regular occurrence that lots of people knew about. Lin Feng, who was practicing cultivation in a dream, suddenly opened his eyes and stood up. He looked at the forbidden area with curiosity. I'm going to go see what that was. Lin Feng was convinced that something inside had changed. He unsheathed his Tianji sword, which streaked across the sky. As Lin Feng got closer, different kinds of strength surrounded his Tianji sword before it pierced through the mist and entered the forbidden area again. Inside, there were the same dazzling destructive lights, but there was also a rain of shooting stars. The Tianji sword rose up in the air and suddenly, Lin Feng, who was outside, frowned. He saw a gigantic golden elephant which seemed capable of shaking the entire world. That elephant is even larger than the stone ape, thought Lin Feng. That elephant was floating in the midair. People only had to stand outside the forbidden area, even at the periphery, they could still see it. The most interesting part was that the elephant didn't seem like it wanted to leave, it seemed to be waiting for something. Maybe the everlasting celestial emperor sent that elephant, thought Lin Feng. The golden destructive lights were emanating from the elephant's nostrils. Maybe, if a cultivator managed to get on the elephant's back, then they wouldn't be assaulted by the destructive energies. Bzzz. The Tianji sword shook violently and dodged a light. It had to leave again. It was on its way back as Lin Feng was thinking of what to do. Suddenly, Lin Feng frowned again as he saw a human being outside, who jumped into the forbidden area with incredible speed, landing on the elephant's back. The cultivator looked rather small compared to the elephant. A strong destructive wind kept blowing, and the Tianji sword kept dodging the energies. Lin Feng left it inside because he wanted to see what would happen with that cultivators. That elephant was probably a high-level imperial beast, maybe even stronger, maybe it was a great imperial beast. Therefore, Lin Feng wanted to see if the elephant was going to attack the cultivator on its back or do something unexpected. The elephant seemed calm and it didn't seem surprised to have a strong cultivator on its back. Slash, slash, the Tianji sword dashed out of the forbidden area. Should I try to get on his back too, thought Lin Feng. Sharp sword lights appeared in his eyes as he thought, if he didn't get in, he'd regret. Lin Feng, said Wuxia. He was wondering what Lin Feng was thinking. Wuxia, there's a gigantic elephant inside. It's at least a high-level imperial beast, and it is attracting a lot of attention. Should we go inside together? Lin Feng asked. Wuxia looked dumbstruck. A gigantic elephant, a high-level imperial beast, attracting people. He was as excited and as scared as Lin Feng. What do you want to do? Asked Wuxia. I'm going in, said Lin Feng without hesitating. All right, I'm coming with you, said Wuxia solemnly. He looked at the girl and asked, what about you? The girl's eyes twinkled as she thought about the difficult choice. She looked at Wuxia in a meaningful way and said, I'm coming. All right, let's go then. It was their own choice. They all rose up in the air and flew towards the elephant's location, piercing through the mist. Then, Lin Feng unsheathed his Tianji sword again. Wuxia, use your speed abstruse energy on my sword, said Lin Feng as he jumped onto his Tianji sword. Wuxia and the girl followed him. They were all on the Tianji sword, surrounded by speed abstruse energies. Many people frowned as they watched them dive in. Chapter 1575, Limitless, 3 people at once. Many people's silhouettes flickered after they saw Lin Feng and the others jump in. Those 3 people weren't that strong, only 2 cultivators of the 9th Zun Qi layer and 1 of the 8th. They hadn't even broken through to the Huang Qi layer yet, but they dared go into the forbidden area. Nobody wanted to die, and Lin Feng wasn't an exception to this rule. This must mean that Lin Feng had discovered something. At that moment, Lu Yao and the others were there too. They watched as Lin Feng and the others went in. His heart was pounding, he was hesitating, but he really wanted to jump in too. I have to. Suddenly, Lu Yao turned into a sharp sword and jumped into the mist, risking his life. The crowd was surprised to see another person go in. They were still nervous themselves. Let's go, said some people. Lin Feng and the others were traversing the forbidden area. There was a strong wind, strong enough to scare them away if they hadn't seen someone succeed already. If Lin Feng had looked back, he would have seen just how many he had encouraged to jump in as well. Quickly enough, Lin Feng and the two others made it to the elephant's back. That elephant was as large as a castle, making all cultivators on its back look like ants. Terrifying lights surrounded the elephant's body, preventing the destructive energies from reaching them. More people are coming, thought Lin Feng when he saw silhouettes flickering behind him. Of course, some weaker people also came in and were immediately killed by the terrifying and destructive energies, leaving no traces of their bodies behind. The elephant is still not leaving, it's like it's waiting for more people, thought the crowd. They had gambled, and it seemed like it was working, the elephant was waiting for them. The wind spilled over and people could see it from outside. The cultivators who had remained outside saw so many of the others succeed, how could they control themselves? Especially emperors. They had to give it a try too. 2 hours later, there were more than 100 people on the elephant's back and the wind was getting scarier with each minute. Suddenly, the elephant trumpeted and finally, it started moving. The elephant turned around and shot out like a golden beam of light towards the depths of the mysterious forbidden area. Some people had just arrived at the forbidden area when the elephant leaving. They were furious, no. The inside of the forbidden area was gigantic. The gigantic elephant continued moving through the darkness as everyone gazed at the stars and moonlights. No wonder that people don't get out of the forbidden area, without the elephant, everyone would have died, thought the crowd. Nobody disturbed one another, they just glanced around and looked pensive. Slash, slash, terrifying sounds reverberated around them. The elephant was attacking the terrifying energies, leaving many people covered in a cold sweat. If the elephant was killed, they'd die too. They were now convinced that in there, even high-level emperors couldn't survive. Suddenly, the elephant trumpeted again, and golden lights flashed again. Golden marks appeared under the elephant's feet. What's that? Thought the crowd. Oh no, thought the crowd. A very powerful hurricane was heading towards them, filled with terrifyingly destructive energies. Bzzz. Suddenly, the marks under the elephant's feet became dazzling. The crowd watched as the energies from the marks surrounded them. Golden lights appeared in their brain, just like an illusion. What a strange strength. That's a deployment spell, thought Lin Feng as he recalled Yendi's deployment spells. Gotcha, something broke. The crowd thought their bodies were breaking apart. They all started shaking violently, including Lin Feng. As the lights surrounded them, it seemed as if they had been teleported at the speed of light. Boom boom. Explosions sounded. Lin Feng feared that his body was going to explode, the pain from the deployment skill was severe. He felt disoriented, like he was being tossed around violently. Lin Feng finally stopped and tried to come back to his senses. He opened his eyes and saw stones all around him, even though there was almost no light to work with. Cliffs, thought Lin Feng as he rubbed his sore body. He rose up in the air and finally saw some lights. He was in a mountain range, surrounded by cliffs. He had crashed against some rocks a moment before, which would explain his pain. Lin Feng's mouth twitched as finally he understood what was going on. The forbidden area of Xixiang City was the entrance to a small world, but it was an incredibly dangerous entrance. Chapter 1576, Overly aggressive. He looked at the sky and around him, but there was nobody else there. It seemed like they had arrived from the sky. If this small world doesn't have another entrance apart from the one in Xixiang, then it's a lot more terrifying than the one I come from, whispered Lin Feng. From what Lin Feng understood, that elephant was a great imperial beast which could deploy powerful deployment spells. The elephant had to cast a deployment spell on all of them to protect them as they were thrown into a hole, which lead here. Compared to Lin Feng's small world, high-level emperors could rip through the sky to leave. But that probably wasn't the case for this world. Lin Feng thought for a few minutes before he started moving. He had to find people first, as he had lost Wuxia and the others when they fell in. After a very long time, Lin Feng finally saw some palaces and temples. The buildings looked extraordinary, more so than anything found in Ba Huang or Jiuyu, at least. Lin Feng accelerated and entered a palace. There were a lot of people there. He had looked around before and figured that the everlasting celestial emperor's palace was most likely in that place. Lin Feng glanced at the crowd below him. They were weaker than the cultivators he saw in the Great World, but stronger than most of the cultivators in Ba Huang. There were many Zun cultivators, but not that many of them were at the top of the Zun Qi layer. In fact, he hadn't seen a cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer yet. Lin Feng descended from the sky, landing in front of 3 young Zun cultivators. They seemed surprised to see Lin Feng there. Lin Feng looked unfathomable even though he wasn't releasing any qi. It must be a cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer, thought those people. The girl's eyes were twinkling as she looked at him in a cute way and asked, "What are you looking for, master?" "Have you ever heard of the everlasting celestial great emperor?" asked Lin Feng, rather straightforwardly. The everlasting celestial great emperor, those 3 people shivered. "Master, we haven't," said the girl shaking her head. She looked shy as she continued, "But I can take you somewhere where we can ask about it." Lin Feng looked handsome, he was very fast, his cultivation was unfathomable, and he had straightforwardly asked about a great emperor. The girl was shivering after just guessing what his cultivation must be. If she could make friends with him, she'd probably benefit for a lifetime. Maybe she could get some ancient scriptures with him. "Where?" "Take me there," said Lin Feng. "All right, come with me," said the girl to Lin Feng in a gentle way, stretching her beautiful, slender, white hand towards him. Cultivators were extremely determined, which was the same with this girl. She knew that if she didn't meet any strong cultivators that she would never find any ancient scriptures to study. Lin Feng was an opportunity in her eyes. "Shi Yao," said the 2 young men, both of them were surprised. Shi Yao smiled at them and said, "Go back to the sect and tell our teacher that I left with an extremely strong cultivator and that I don't know when I'll come back." Shi Yao held hands with Lin Feng and they both flew away. After the 2 young men watched Shi Yao and Lin Feng disappear from their fields of vision, they put on a rather upset face. They both liked her, but she had left with a stranger because he was stronger than them. Lin Feng and the girl jumped onto his Tianji sword and traveled very quickly, Shi Yao showing Lin Feng the way. Surprisingly, the girl leant against Lin Feng and asked, "What's your name, master?" "Lin Feng," said Lin Feng calmly. "Lin Feng, can I call you by your name?" "You can," said Lin Feng nodding. Shi Yao looked happy and smiled. "Lin Feng, how long have you been practicing cultivation? You must be a cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer, right?" "I've been practicing cultivation for about 10 years," said Lin Feng indifferently. Shi Yao was awestruck, only 10 years. But Lin Feng hadn't replied to her question about whether he was a cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer, which probably meant that he was. She had been practicing cultivation for 20 years already, ever since she was a baby. "You must have incredible skills, techniques, and spells. I wish I had some ancient scriptures to work with, I would progress a lot faster," said Shi Yao. With that, she held Lin Feng's hand even tighter and wrapped her other arm around Lin Feng's back. She was acting straightforward with him as well. "If you can help me find what I'm looking for, I'll transmit some ancient scriptures to you," said Lin Feng calmly. His heart was as calm as still water, beauty didn't influence him. Shi Yao got very excited, but she also looked disappointed. Was she so bad at seducing men? Lin Feng didn't even glance at her. The palace of tyranny had been created long ago. Although they didn't have that many disciples, the few they had could be considered as leaders. Most of them were so strong that they were considered unfathomable by most. It was said that the first and second disciples were already cultivators at the very top of the Zun Qi layer. It was also said that the tyrant, Master Ju Wu, had become an emperor 120 years before. Nobody knew how strong he was now. The palace of tyranny was the vastest and the strongest. Shi Yao was taking Lin Feng there. She also explained Lin Feng some things about it. Lin Feng was pensive. Outside the Palace of Tyranny, some disciples saw Lin Feng and Shi Yao arriving by a sword. They were both surprised, one of them even shouted, "Some people are coming." "I'm Lin Feng, I'm here to see Master Ju Wu," said Lin Feng. His voice rolled in waves as it traveled across the sky. "Humph! You dare arrive by sky? Put your sword away and come down, then give me your sword. If you want to see our master, you must respect our rules. You must kowtow 3 times and only then will I give you an opportunity to see my master," said a guard who was wearing Taoist's robes. Lin Feng frowned. What kind of rules were those? Hand over his sword. Kowtow 3 times. An opportunity? Indeed, those are the rules, but for strong people, there are always exceptions. "I'll go talk to him," said Shi Yao in a low voice. She looked at those people and said, "We need to ask your master something. I hope you can understand." Shi Yao took out a ring and threw it at the guard. The guard smiled as he glanced at the ring, then he said, "If you want to go in, you must still give me your sword." "Humph!" Lin Feng groaned coldly. That person was trying to steal his sword. Dazzling sword lights appeared, and Lin Feng shouted furiously, "I'm Lin Feng, I'm here to see Master Ju Wu." His voice spread far off into the distance this time. That person looked at Lin Feng in a cold way and shouted back, "How audacious! You dare disturb our people who are practicing cultivation. You must want to die." Lin Feng's eyes twinkled. He jumped forwards and released force which instantly surrounded that person's body. Then, Lin Feng said in a cold way, "Piss off." The ground shook as that person was propelled away, causing him to cough up blood. His face turned deathly pale after he recovered himself. Lin Feng looked at him in a disdainful way as he said, "A doorman dares talk to me that." Chapter 1577, Great Emperor of the Universe. Inside the Palace of Tyranny, Lin Feng's voice spread far. Silhouettes rose up in the air and flew over to him. Shi Yao was startled as she looked at Lin Feng. She hadn't thought Lin Feng would be so aggressive. He even hurt someone outside the palace and disturbed everyone else. Lin Feng's robe fluttered in the wind as he started running forwards. The ground and the walls shook with each step he took, marks trailed him even. "You dared cause trouble in the Palace of Tyranny, how reckless," said the guard who had been kicked away by Lin Feng. He landed far away, in the depths of the palace. He began moving back as he waited for some stronger cultivators to come. Ridiculous. Lin Feng continued running forwards as released more force at the guard. He groaned with pain after Lin Feng released a gigantic hand which grabbed him. Then, Lin Feng landed in front of him again and stopped. That person's face turned deathly pale as he said, "I'm from the Palace of Tyranny, how dare you hurt me?" The gigantic hand assaulted him, causing him to cough up more blood, leaving his internal organs severely damaged. Finally, some people arrived and were glaring at Lin Feng. "Who are you? How dare you act recklessly in the Palace of Tyranny," said one of them. It was a cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer. "I'm Lin Feng, and I came to see your master. I didn't come to be humiliated by your stupid doorman. I just finished teaching him a lesson," said Lin Feng loudly. "He's insane and disrespectful, brother, let's kill him," shouted the guard, his face now red. Lin Feng glanced at him, his mouth twitching. Lin Feng's eyes turned pitch black, and the guard's determination was suddenly lost. "How did he humiliate you?" asked the cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer. Nobody had ever dared act recklessly in the Palace of Tyranny. But now, a cultivator of the 8th Zun Qi layer had surprisingly dared. Besides, he said he wanted to see their teacher, even after he had injured their guard. Shi Yao's face turned pale. That cultivator was very strong, he was a cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer. Even if Lin Feng was strong, he probably couldn't deal with them. Master, Lin Feng doesn't understand the rules of the Palace of Tyranny. The guard said he wanted him to kowtow 3 times, so it infuriated him. He didn't mean what he did, explained Xiao. That person smiled coldly and said to Lin Feng, since it's that way, go out and kowtow 3 times, then you can piss off and we'll forget about all this. Xiao again looked petrified. She knew that Lin Feng wasn't going to kowtow, which meant that things were going to get worse. She suddenly regretted bringing Lin Feng there. Lin Feng glanced at him in a cold way before he jumped forwards. 2 gigantic hands appeared this time, they also contained terrifying demon lights and force. That cultivator was the 3rd disciple from the Palace of Tyranny, but even with his status, he looked horrified. He could tell how strong that attack was, he was worried that he was going to be crushed like a pancake. 8th Zun Qi layer, but how can he be so strong, thought the 3rd disciple. He released as much energy and force as he could, and then put his hands in front of him to block. The people around them noticed that the 3rd disciple couldn't block Lin Feng, so lunged towards Lin Feng as well. The ground shook as Lin Feng's gigantic hands squished him. The 3rd disciple's face was turned red, his organs felt like they had exploded, and he softly fell to the ground. Piss off, shouted Lin Feng as he continued moving forwards. Everybody sensed death strength fill air around them, forcing them to stop. How strong! No wonder he despises the disciples from the Palace of Tyranny, thought Xiao looking at Lin Feng, blinking her beautiful eyes with astonishment. Lin Feng descended from the sky and landed next to the 3rd disciple. He said indifferently, I'm going to ask you something, and if you talk any more shit, I'll kill you. Lin Feng released death energy which instantly surrounded the 3rd disciple. Where is the great imperial everlasting palace in which the everlasting celestial emperor lived? Asked Lin Feng. His eyes were pitch black now, affecting the disciples' determination. The everlasting celestial emperor, the great imperial everlasting palace, that 3rd disciple was confused. He had never heard of such an emperor in the continent of the 9 clouds. I don't know, I've never heard of him, said the 3rd disciple, terrified. He didn't dare lie, he could die at any time, and Lin Feng had damaged his determination to boot. Who's the strongest cultivator in this continent, and who can cast the most powerful deployment spells? Asked Lin Feng. Emperor Dong controlled the Qi clan and the Qi Empire in Ba Huang and Jiuyu. Maybe the everlasting celestial emperor had another name in that small world. The great emperor of the universe, said that 3rd disciple. Indeed, it's the great emperor of the universe. He has the best deployment spells and cultivation in the continent of the 9 clouds, but he rarely shows himself in the continent of the 9 clouds. Everlasting celestial emperor, great emperor of the universe, whispered Lin Feng. Was that the same person? Where is the great emperor of the universe's palace? Asked Lin Feng. Inside the city of the universe, there is a palace of the universe, which must be where the great emperor of the universe lives. I don't know if that's what you're looking for though, said the 3rd disciple. At that moment, some strength suddenly appeared behind Lin Feng. Brothers, everybody looked at the arriving cultivators respectfully. They were both cultivators at the very top of the Zun Qi layer. They probably didn't have any enemies at the Zun level or below, especially one of them whose force was already multiplied by 1,000. Boom, the 2nd disciple ran forwards, his abstruse energy revealed itself to be earth abstruse energy which was at the maximum level. It was only a step away from becoming cosmic energy. Lin Feng rose up in the air and pushed Xiao behind him. Piss off, said Lin Feng. The 2nd disciple continued releasing earth abstruse energy, seemingly throwing mountains at him. Those who try to block me will die, yelled Lin Feng. Suddenly, he released force which was multiplied by 1,000. The 2nd disciple suddenly looked petrified but tried to control himself. He has no enemies at the Zun Qi level as well, thought the 2nd disciple. Lin Feng took another step forward, causing the 2nd disciple's mouth to twitch. Suddenly, he moved aside and let Lin Feng pass. Who was insane enough to stop him? Lin Feng didn't even glance at him. Now there was someone else in front of him, the first disciple. He was the strongest one besides the emperor from that place. "You think you will leave alive?" said that person. Lin Feng continued moving forwards as a gigantic hand appeared above them, then he turned into an illusion. Die, the first disciple punched the air with not only a force multiplied by 1,000, but abstruse energy which was at its highest level. "Great earth destruction," said Lin Feng. He moved like the wind and punched the first disciple. Immediately after, the atmosphere became calm. Everybody was nervously staring at the fighters. Whoosh! Then, Lin Feng continued moving like the wind as he dragged Xiao with him, disappearing in the distance. The first disciple's body slowly crackled, following some rumbling sounds, he exploded. Chapter 1578, The appearance of the palace. That first disciple was the strongest one there besides the emperor. Many people respected and admired him, but he died in such a tragic way. Just how strong was Lin Feng? Everyone inside the palace of tyranny watched as Lin Feng left. Their hearts were practically pounding out of their chests, their clothes were drenched in sweat. "That punch, the great earth destruction, was so powerful," whispered one of the cultivators. Lin Feng didn't care about what those people had to say, he got what he wanted and now he was out of there. The great emperor of the universe was the strongest cultivator in that small world. Was it too coincidental? 7 days later, Lin Feng was traveling on sword above the city of the universe. He had finally arrived. His robe was fluttering in the wind majestically. Xiao couldn't help but look at Lin Feng with admiration. All in all, Xiao couldn't understand Lin Feng. She didn't even know that her world was only a small part of the continent of the 9 clouds. It was just a small world which had existed for millions of years. She also didn't know that the real continent of the 9 clouds was actually beyond their world. Not only was Lin Feng mysterious but he was also insensitive in her eyes. She had tried to seduce him many times, but it never worked. Lin Feng glanced around and noticed that the people there seemed stronger than where had been so far. Cultivators at the top of the Zun Qi layer were normal there were even some emperors. However, Lin Feng didn't care about them. He had come for the great emperor of the universe. He wanted to see whether it was the everlasting celestial emperor. "Let's go to the great imperial palace," said Lin Feng. Then they began descending from the sky. As they descended, a Zun cultivator approached him and said, "Your Excellency." That cultivator had inspected Lin Feng, figuring that he was probably a cultivator of the top of the Zun Qi layer. He had decided to act respectful. "Could you please tell me where the palace of the universe is?" asked Lin Feng. "The palace of the universe again," that cultivator was surprised. He looked at Lin Feng in a strange way and asked, "Why did you word it like that?" "Master, many people have come here for the palace of the universe, but I don't know why," said that person in a low voice. He pointed in the direction of the palace of the universe. Lin Feng rose up in the air again. He had many thoughts running through his mind. He wasn't the first one to make it here. The palace of the universe wasn't located in the central part of the city of the universe, but rather on the periphery. It looked like a normal castle except that it looked endless. It was incomparably vast and tall. It was probably the largest building in that small world. Lin Feng arrived in front of the palace of the universe and sighed. "Everlasting" was written in golden letters at the entrance. The great imperial everlasting palace, that was the exact same palace he had seen when using the 5 everlasting bronze plates, but the illusion made it look much smaller. Everlasting. Xiao looked at the word and remembered that Lin Feng was looking for the everlasting celestial emperor. Was the everlasting celestial emperor Lin Feng was talking about the great emperor of the universe? "I found it," whispered Lin Feng. How many people got there before him though? Lin Feng was suddenly illuminated by lights. He glanced around and saw that many people were staring at him. Lin Feng even recognized some of them from the gigantic elephant. But even though they had already arrived, they were still standing outside, not daring to go inside. The everlasting celestial emperor's deployment spells were terrifying. His deployment spells had killed many, many people. Therefore, they didn't consider going inside. They were waiting for an opportunity, just like the elephant. It's him. Two people had recognized Lin Feng. Lin Feng turned around and saw Lu Yao and one of the young men with whom Lu Yao had come with. They thought that they were fast, but Lin Feng surprised them by arriving even faster. I want to get into the palace. You should wait for me here, but if you don't want to, you can just leave, said Lin Feng to Shi Yao. She looked at him and said, Lin Feng, you're insane. It's the great emperor of the universe's palace, people scared shitless to go in, and yet, you don't even think twice about it. No matter what she thought, Lin Feng had already started walking towards the palace. He had the everlasting celestial emperor's godly awareness, so he had to give it a try. Since the great emperor of the universe was probably the everlasting celestial emperor, why not try? Chapter 1579, Life and Death Path. Xiao wasn't the only one concerned, the others were all astonished too. Did he have a plan? It was said that the everlasting celestial emperor controlled 3,000 great deployment spells and 108,000 small deployment spells. He could protect the 10,000 things of creation with them. If he had cast those spells inside the palace, they would easily die. They were already outside the palace though, could they wait there forever? They had been waiting for someone to get in, and now Lin Feng was going in. Your Excellency, shouted someone at that moment. Lin Feng stopped and saw that it was an old man in a purple robe talking to him. He slowly walked towards him and smiled. The everlasting celestial emperor could cast terrifying deployment spells, yet you have only broken through to the 8th Zun Qi layer. Aren't you afraid to go in? Lin Feng looked at him in a calm and serene way but smiled. He knew that the old man was trying to learn where Lin Feng's confidence came from. Master, cultivation can be dangerous sometimes, but since the everlasting celestial emperor has left an unequal treasure here, I must try. Especially seeing how I'm here already, explained Lin Feng calmly. Alright, I wouldn't have thought that there were such brave young men in this world. I'll follow you. Maybe we can help each other, said the old man smiling. In Lin Feng's eyes, the old man was just trying to leech. As you wish, master, said Lin Feng unperturbed. After you. You first, I'll follow you, that way I can protect you from behind, said the old man indifferently. Lin Feng nodded and smiled. Then, he continued walking forwards. He knew that the old man was only using him as a guinea pig, but that cultivator was an emperor, and Lin Feng didn't know how strong he was. Since he knows something, let's follow him, said Lu Yao who was watching them. Then, the young man and he followed Lin Feng. When the others saw that, they also followed. Once again, Lin Feng had convinced everyone to follow him. Lin Feng didn't care about them though. Phew, Lin Feng stepped in front of the gate and a dazzling golden light illuminated his body. Then suddenly, he was in the palace. In front of Lin Feng were 4 doors. On each of them, something was written: heaven, earth, water, fire. The old man followed Lin Feng and looked at the 4 words as well. He smiled and said, little friend, which one is the door we can cross without dying? Maybe all of them are safe, said Lin Feng. The old man smiled but Lin Feng continued, of course, they could all be deadly as well. The old man didn't quite believe him, so he smiled again and said, the everlasting celestial emperor did this to attract people, so they couldn't possibly all be deadly. Which one is the right one, little friend? Any of them, said Lin Feng indifferently. Then he crossed the first door, which happened to be the one with the word heaven written above it. That young man is fearless, it seems like he doesn't realize we could obtain incredible things by following him, thought the old man. Although he was weary of Lin Feng, he still followed him. Let's go, said Lu Yao to the others following him. almost everybody chose the heaven door. After crossing through, they were greeted with some stone steps which had 2 words written on them, life, death. There was a strange chi looming at the bottom of those stone steps. The path of death and life, assumedly one can live or die in the blink of an eye, thought the crowd. They all looked upset, for they had heard about the life and death path before. It was a very dangerous deployment spell. Little friend, what should we do now? You seem to understand better than me, said the old man, smiling at Lin Feng. Master, I've never been here, so how could I know? Asked Lin Feng. The old man looked upset as he said, Little friend, you must be joking. You brought us here, so don't tell me you don't know how to pass through. Master, you willingly came with me, I didn't ask you to. Lin Feng reminded him. Humph. The old glanced at Lin Feng in a cold way and walked to the stone steps. Suddenly, he shook his hand and lights assaulted one of the steps which had the word life written on it. In a flash, a destructive light surrounded the stone steps and it lasted for 3 seconds before it disappeared. Those lights could have easily killed someone. The old man slowly turned around and smiled at Lin Feng, Little friend, don't you see? Lead the way please. Lin Feng frowned. Even though he knew how to get through it, that old man was still using him a guinea pig. If Lin Feng hadn't received the great emperor's godly awareness, he would have died already. Master, this is the great emperor's palace. Thus, we must all collaborate instead of using one another as guinea pigs, said Lin Feng, remaining calm. He's right. Maybe we'll encounter even more dangers, so if we only use people as guinea pigs, none of us will succeed, reasoned another emperor. So what should we do, Your Excellency? Asked the old man to that person. I think there must be several ways to go about it. 10 deaths and no life, that is walk on the death stone steps only, then you could step on 9 deaths and 1 life, etc. You just tried one, but we have yet to try the other ones, said that emperor calmly. Then, they bombarded a death stone step and found that nothing happened. 10 deaths, no life, that person reasoned. He continued attacking all the death stone steps, however, once he attacked the 10th one, destructive energies sprung up in the air. 9 deaths, 1 life. That's the only possibility, said the emperor slowly. He tried again and it worked. There must be an explanation to the deployment spell, thought Lin Feng, glancing at the emperor. Little friend, you go, said the old man in purple clothes smiling. Lin Feng glanced at him and nodded, all right, I'll go first. Lin Feng moved quickly, stepping on 9 death stone steps and 1 life stone. Nobody dared to fly over. Since there were steps, it was implied that they must use them. We're safe, people's eyes were twinkling. Everybody, don't rush, otherwise you might die, said the old man smiling. I'm going next. Then, he climbed the stairs. He moved very quickly, however, Lin Feng released sword light suddenly. As if the old man had sensed something, his facial expression changed drastically as he screamed, What are you doing? Killing you. With that, Lin Feng attacked a death stone step. Try if you dare, shouted the emperor furiously. He stretched out his hand, however, Lin Feng's sword energies were too fast. Bzzz, terrifying destructive energies filled the space. The old man gave a horrible shriek and was enveloped by those destructive lights. He glared at Lin Feng as he died. Don't think you're too smart, otherwise you'll die without even knowing how, mocked Lin Feng. Lin Feng turned around and walked towards the next door. Chapter 1580, Not Dead Yet. The everlasting celestial emperor had told Lin Feng, with his godly awareness, that all 4 entrances were viable, and that they were all deadly. The deployment spells didn't limit a cultivator off their cultivation level, anyone who was weaker than the everlasting celestial emperor had a chance to die while facing them. Intelligence, wisdom and luck were the key ingredients to passing these trials. Of course, without the great emperor's godly awareness, it was make it even more difficult to move through the palace. Lin Feng didn't know what there was at the center of the palace, so he remained cautious. I hope Wuxia won't enter this palace, thought Lin Feng. He had asked if Wuxia wanted to come with him because he figured they'd stay together. But now that Wuxia was apart from him, Lin Feng feared the worst. Of course, Lin Feng knew that Wuxia wasn't stupid. Wuxia wanted to gain experience, so he prioritized the everlasting celestial emperor's treasures less than the rest of them. Using the godly awareness as a key, Lin Feng had no problems crossing several doors, and everyone followed him. They didn't know that Lin Feng didn't need to do anything special to cross them. Those people were pleasantly surprised in fact. Lin Feng was their guide, and luckily, he didn't seem to care about them as they followed along. He must be wise, thought the emperor who had agreed with him before. That place was seemingly endless. Lin Feng didn't cross all the doors with his fastest speed, it took him half a day to get to the center of the palace. Finally, he arrived before the last door he had seen in his memories. Lin Feng arrived in front of the door and saw some words in front of him: the earth and the sky, a waterfall, a mountain, precipices, a peak. Lin Feng was astonished. There was a person sitting cross-legged as well. They weren't breathing, their heart wasn't beating, they looked like a statue in every way except for their lifelike appearance. That was the same person Lin Feng had seen in from the godly awareness, the everlasting celestial emperor. Godly awareness, thought Lin Feng. He sensed his godly awareness moving. Then a light shot out from his third eye. The godly awareness key moved towards the everlasting celestial emperor and penetrated his third eye. Lin Feng was shaking. Lin Feng rose up in the air and landed on the peak. He wanted to get closer to the everlasting celestial emperor. Boom! A terrifying strength bombarded Lin Feng's body, making him fly away. Lin Feng's eyes were filled with sharp lights. That deployment spell was terrifying, it had prevented him from getting any closer a moment before. Is that the everlasting celestial emperor's actual body? Was his goal to have people bring him back his godly awareness, thought Lin Feng. Lin Feng rose up in the air again while paying attention to the everlasting celestial emperor's body. Everybody was standing behind Lin Feng wondering who it was. Do you recognize him? Asked the emperor from the life and death stones. There's a powerful deployment spell on his body and it's invisible. You activated it so it attacked you. If I'm not mistaken, that must be the everlasting celestial emperor. I already know that I activated it, said Lin Feng. If that really is the everlasting celestial emperor, then this must be a monster of a puzzle, whispered the emperor. He then took out 3 everlasting bronze plates. Suddenly, a cloud emerged from them and moved towards the everlasting celestial emperor's physical body. If you have all of the everlasting bronze plates, then the everlasting celestial emperor's godly awareness will condense, said Lin Feng. Look at that mountain, said the emperor, pointing at something. Everything was moving, some cultivation caves appeared, and several deployment spells formed. Let's go. Everyone that was following Lin Feng moved towards the cultivation caves. They had followed him until now, so it was finally time to seize some opportunities. Lin Feng didn't follow them. There were so many caves, and he wasn't in a rush. Those caves were probably made for practicing cultivation though. Master, what do you think? Lin Feng asked the emperor. I don't know either. We can go in and see though, said the emperor smiling. Lin Feng nodded and went to the mountains. However, someone suddenly rushed out of a cave looking terrified. It was a Taoist monk. That Taoist monk looked at Lin Feng and laughed, little bastard. You're not dead yet. You old bastard. How could I die while you're still alive? Lin Feng said. How come that damn Taoist monk always appeared where good things were? Chapter 1581, Deployment Spell. That Taoist monk was Yen Di, of course. Lin Feng found it difficult to find the everlasting Celestial Emperor's palace, but Yen Di was already there and had probably been there for a while now. Even though they hadn't seen each other for 2 years, they were still close. "You bastard, long time no see, you're still not a medium-level emperor," asked Lin Feng. Yen Di rolled his eyes and said, "Do you think cultivating imperial levels are similar to the Xian or Tian Qi layers? The continent of the 9 clouds is extremely vast, breaking through to the Huang Qi layer is already difficult. Some people need hundreds or even thousands of years to break through to the Huang Qi layer," said Yen Di. Lin Feng smiled, he was just joking with Yen Di. Even in places like Ba Huang and Jiuyu, where there were billions of people, there were very, very few emperors. And in the Great World, the reason why there were so many emperors was because there were trillions and trillions of people. Nobody knew exactly how many people there were because nobody had ever tried to count. "How long have you been here and what did you find in those buildings?" Lin Feng asked. "I've been here for a year already. Concerning what you can find in those buildings, you can go and enjoy it for yourself." "There are only good things," said Yen Di. Then, he suddenly narrowed his eyes and looked at the everlasting Celestial Emperor. He looked surprised as he said, "Don't waste time, study, maybe the same thing that happened to me also happened to him." Lin Feng nodded, he understood what Yen Di meant. Maybe that the everlasting Celestial Emperor was going to come back to life after all his godly awareness were brought back to him. "Go," said Yen Di to Lin Feng. He didn't want to waste time talking about the past with Lin Feng. Since Lin Feng was alive and had come himself, he had to enjoy the benefits that place offered. Yen Di then went to another building. Lin Feng listened to his advice and went to the building from which Yen Di had just come out of. Suddenly, a curtain of light appeared and closed the room off. Some strange marks appeared in front of Lin Feng, seemingly creating a seal. The room wasn't big, just large enough to practice cultivation. Lin Feng turned around and touched the curtain of light which had closed the room and found that it was quite thick. It seemed like he was stuck inside now. Lin Feng attacked the curtain with energies, but it felt like he was striking diamonds. Lin Feng condensed strength in his fist, creating a strong wind. Great earth destruction. Lin Feng attacked the wall. He had even amazed the great earth demon ape with that attack, but this curtain of light didn't budge. On top of that, a terrifying strength counterattacked and bombarded him. He was propelled backwards and violently crashed against the wall behind him. "That bastard didn't tell me about that," thought Lin Feng. He didn't continue trying. The counterattack was too terrifying. Even Yen Di was probably unable to break that curtain of light. Lin Feng walked to the marks and sat down cross-legged. Once he did, the marks around him started flashing even faster. Lin Feng was surprised, but he closed his eyes. Since Yen Di had managed to come out, it probably had something to do with those marks. The lights revolved around Lin Feng's head, causing the atmosphere in the cave to change. It became dazzling, leaving Lin Feng the impression that he was in a large space. The numerous marks and words floated around him before penetrating his head. Those marks and words became a part of his memories. Deployment. A gigantic word appeared in front of Lin Feng. Deployment. Lin Feng relaxed and let the memories and the marks fill his head. After what seemed to be a long time and countless memories, Lin Feng realized that he had received one of the 3,000 great deployment spells. "Deployment spells use the strength of the earth and the sky," whispered Lin Feng. Although people's strength was limited, the strength of the earth and sky was unlimited. Weaker cultivators borrowed external strength to cast deployment spells, just as Yen Di had in the past when he used abstruse crystals or weapons. But those in the memories didn't need to borrow external strength, they could use their own strength to attract the strength from the earth and sky to carve holy marks and cast terrifying deployment spells. Of course, the more powerful the deployment spell was, the more time they needed. Chapter 1582, Action Deployment Spells were created from the use of many ancient words. Lin Feng had studied holy marks before, but he knew that his holy marks were rudimentary at best. Each stroke was incredible and mysterious, and he had never really understood the connections between marks, holy marks, and deployment marks. To carve authentic holy marks and use holy marks' special powers, cultivators had to understand all sorts of marks. They had to understand which kind of strength was appropriate. Even the slightest mistake in the type of strength could weaken a deployment spell by a lot. Of course, authentic deployment spell casters' knowledge couldn't be restrained to 3,000 great deployment spells and 108,000 small deployment spells. That was only an expression. Authentic deployment spell casters could cast an infinite number of deployment spells. What the everlasting celestial emperor had implied with his expression, 3,000 and 108,000 deployment spells, was that if a cultivator could manage to cast them all, then they'd be able to cast any deployment spell in the world. Lin Feng familiarized himself with the memories he just received. From this ocean of memories, he needed to select drops of it at a time to understand them, one by one. In the end, he had to think of all these drops as a whole and create waves with them. Besides, deployment spells were different from one person and another because they depended on the type of cosmic energies a cultivator understood. Depending on the type of strength used, deployment spells could have entirely different results. For example, if a cultivator wanted to create a cage using the arts of deployment spells, the best energy to use was earth energy. To make people feel drowsy, the best energy to use was illusion energy. And so on. It seems like casting powerful deployment spells requires a cultivator to control several types of abstruse energies or cosmic energies. I wonder how many types of energies the everlasting celestial emperor controlled, thought Lin Feng. To get out of here, I must cast a shattering deployment spell. Lin Feng suddenly realized. A shattering deployment spell was used to break through things. It was one of the 3,000 great deployment spells and was most effectively used with earth abstruse or cosmic energy. Lin Feng's mouth twitched. He had to understand and control a deployment spells to get out. Were all the rooms like that? How many people would be stuck in those rooms? Lin Feng shivered. The everlasting celestial emperor was a bit cruel. Understanding and casting a deployment spell was easier said than done. People who slow to learn would be stuck for dozens or even hundreds of years in there. Of course, that was a test and people had to be determined if they wanted to reap the benefits. One of the 3,000 great deployment spells, I'm going to be stuck inside for a while I think, thought Lin Feng smiling wryly. He was worried that if it took him too long to understand the deployment spell, his cultivation wouldn't improve as fast as he'd like. But deployment spells were powerful too, even if he hadn't been stuck inside, would he have considered giving up this treasure? A shattering deployment spell could break through countless things. It might even be stronger than all of his current attacks. Besides, he could use deployment spells for anything, to practice cultivation, to fabricate weapons, and to concoct pills. Back then, Yen Di had cast Holy Mark's deployment spell in Tian Chi's snowy mountains using abstruse energies from the chi of the earth and sky. Now, Tian Chi's snowy peaks had become a holy cultivation place. Lin Feng remained in the room, studying the varying words and marks. Even though his eyes were closed, his hands were moving silently in the air. He was carving words in the air, causing a mysterious strength to form. Lin Feng used immortal abstruse energy to carve those words, which allowed them to remain longer than they normally would. A month later, Lin Feng was still carving marks with his fingers. His marks were connecting and could condense into holy mark strength. His power to learn was monstrous, but he didn't stop. Holy marks constituted the base for the 3,000 great deployment spells and the 108,000 small deployment spells, but it was too much to take in with a short time. Yen Di had practiced using marks for a long time before. It wouldn't surprise Lin Feng if he had practiced using them for over 100 years. 6 months passed, but Lin Feng was as determined as ever. All he thought about were deployment spells and nothing else could distract him. There was a small deployment spell in front of Lin Feng already. If other people knew his progress, they would probably vomit from anger. A strong deployment spell caster had been where Lin Feng was now and had learnt one of the 3,000 great deployment spells from the everlasting Celestial Emperor. He had practiced and studied diligently for 10 years and in the end, he had only managed to understand 10% of it. 1 year passed before Lin Feng finally let his hands rest at his side. He sighed before he opened his eyes, looking disappointed. "It's been 1 year already," whispered Lin Feng. In 1 year, he hadn't done anything but study deployment spells. That shattering deployment spell was so hard to cast. How long would he need? He was still stuck carving tiny deployment spells. Actually, Lin Feng was doing great. In another cave, Liu Yao had already given up. He didn't continue practicing deployment spells but had decided to practice cultivation instead. He was worried that it would take 10 years to practice deployment spells to a point where he could leave. He lost all his self-confidence and had decided to become an emperor with that time. Maybe he could break that curtain of light after becoming an emperor. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.